Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning to everyone. So I'm your trainer today. My name is Aeslina Kadir from the Faculty of Civil Engineering and Built Environment. Our training title today is Schedule Waste Management, Compliance, Environmental Impact and also Treatment Technologies. So a little bit of my background and so experience. This is cartoon version of me doing things that I love most and also passionate about. And my academic qualification, my background is from Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, Bachelor of Science for Environmental Science, and also Masters in Environmental Management from UTM, and PhD in Civil Engineering from RMIT University in Melbourne. So my field is actually on environmental engineering as general, but if we focus on or narrow down, my specialization is more towards solid waste management and recycling, sustainable building material, wastewater treatment as well as circular economy. So currently, I'm a professor at Faculty of Civil Engineering and Built Environment at UTHM and also the Director of Sustainable Campus Office. I'm also one of the principal researcher at Micropollutant Research Centre, one of the Centre of Excellence that cater all the issues on the environmental issues and also pollutants. And also I'm a professional technologist and board in green technology. The rest are my certification that I pursue in order to contribute more in sustainable engineering. So for your information, UTHM is located in Pait Raja, which is in Batu Pahat. And we are one of the M10 universities, Malaysian Technical Universities. We have 4 Malaysian Technical Universities in Malaysia. So University Tun Hussein of Malaysia is one of it, together with UTM, UNIMAP and also UMP. As I mentioned earlier, I'm from Faculty of Civil Engineering and Built Environment. And also one of the principal researcher from Micropollutant Research Centre. Our core expertise is on micropollutant studies, emerging pollutants, water and wastewater, waste management recovery, environmental technology and also bioremediation. So you are free to come to discuss any research, any pollution studies, any co-supervision, publication, so on and so forth. So for today's training, at the end of the sessions, you'll be able to, there are 4 learning outcomes. The first one is to classify the schedule waste into categories, which are schedule waste 1 to schedule waste 5, and also identify the hazardous characteristic. Number 2, to evaluate the potential environmental and public health impacts associated with schedule waste. The third one, to apply the knowledge of schedule waste management systems and operational compliance standard as prescribed by the Environmental Quality Schedule Waste Regulations 2005. And also number 4, to analyze suitable treatment, recovery and also final disposal technologies for different categories of schedule waste. So the main content, we have 4 modules today. The first module is on the introduction of the schedule waste and its characteristics. I believe maybe some of you are quite familiar, some of you are not familiar. So module 2 is on the environmental and public health impact assessment. Module 3, regulatory compliance and operational management. And module 4 is all about treatment, recovery and also method for schedule waste. So now is the ice-breaking session because I want to get to know our participant today. Maybe first of all, I think you could introduce yourself and what is your expectation by coming to this training today. And we are going to have one activities just to make sure that every one of you on the same page. Okay, so maybe any volunteer to introduce yourself?
Good morning. My name is Fatin.
Okay, Fatin.
I'm planning to work in the industrial sector.
Okay.
And handling trade waste.
Okay.
Maybe planning to apply for certificate in Sesi PCP.
Okay.
Physical chemical process. And that's why today I'm here.
Okay.
So maybe add some knowledge on how to treatment of solid waste, disposal method in the proper way.
So your background is in chemical. So you could apply for CHM as well. Okay. So next. Salam.
My name is Intan. I'm currently
Intan. Okay.
doing a lab work for my company, which is in
Testing lab. Okay.
yeah, okay.
Your background?
My background is environmental engineering.
Environmental engineering, okay.
And I would like to pursue on that.
Okay. So any certification that you would like to pursue in the future?
Could you suggest?
Maybe self-swarm or any accreditation lab certification because you are doing testing, right? Okay, next.
My name is Sesi. So I'm currently studying and have a what we call, I'm trying to go to the big three September at HRD.
Okay.
So maybe I'm joining this to get more information for me to apply.
Okay. You are trying to apply a job in waste industry, so you're trying to get knowledge from this. Okay, the last participant.
Hi, my name is Farisha. Me, same as Izati, I'm just finished my study and I'm planning to go to the hydrometal Cinderberite company.
Okay.
So I'm here same too to learn more about the waste management and gain more knowledge.
Okay. So at least all of you are coming today. You have your aim to join this training because we are all in the waste industries at least. Okay. So for the ice breaking session, I would like to know whether this is a scheduled waste or not. All of you have to think of one waste item that you handle daily. If you are not working yet, maybe at home, for example, and then guess out loud whether it is a scheduled waste or not, and share your guess also the reason why you said that those waste that you handle daily is a scheduled waste. Maybe I'll give you like 2 minutes. Is it enough? 2 minutes? Just think of one waste item that you handle daily at home that you think maybe it is a scheduled waste. If yes, why? Could you justify that it is a scheduled waste? If you are working in the lab, for example, maybe you have more like chemicals daily that you handle, so that will be more suitable, and maybe you can guess the characteristics of the hazardous waste itself. Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes. Any volunteer can start first.
I think
Okay, Fatin. Battery, yes. Okay.
Battery contain lithium, right?
Hmm.
And usually diorang just throw away je.
Hmm.
Tapi recently kan ada contoh SWM ke dia akan collect e-waste kan. Jadi I think benda ni sebenarnya perlukan awareness more daripada orang ramai.
So you're talking about battery as one of the e-waste that you handle daily, or maybe you can find it at your home. So you think that they should be disposed as scheduled waste. Okay? Okay. Next.
Sure.
Hmm.
For me,
Then
since I've been doing the lab work and I've been handling quite some acids, and I guess it is considered as acid waste. It goes under the category of SK4, I believe. So since it's SK4, it's quite hazardous and need to properly dispose.
okay. Fatin, just now, what do you think is the characteristic of battery in terms of scheduled waste characteristic?
Battery is more likely to explode, right? So maybe CCP.
Toxicity, okay, maybe. Later we are going to discuss about it. And then you, Intan?
Hazardous.
Hazardous. We only have 4 characteristics.
Sorry.
But at least you know that your chemical that you are dealing with is scheduled waste, under scheduled waste 40 something, right?
Yeah.
Just now. So at least you are aware of what you are dealing with in your daily life. Okay, what about you?
So since I'm not working, so of course more handle at home. So it's more like e-waste and used oil.
Okay.
For the e-waste, I think it's scheduled waste.
Okay.
Since at home I have siblings that have toys, electronic toys. So I guess that I just learned like past year that we need to properly dispose the toys, especially the electricals, is for the shelter. And then for the used oil, I think it's a general way since it's not as polluted organically, but the correct way is like you have to put it in a bottle or what, so instead of just throw to the
Okay, so Izzati also talking about e-waste. Okay, what about you?
How about lampu Kalimantan?
Okay, lampu Kalimantan.
So mostly people just buang je dekat tong sampah. So bila kita buang sampah lain pun dia bertindih dan pecah, and mercury dalam tu pun akan tersebar lah.
So you're talking about mercury leaking, maybe in terms of toxicity. So at least I think most of you have awareness and also knowledge on how to differentiate between scheduled waste and also general waste, which is good. Okay, so we move on to the next one. Okay, now we are going to start our module 1, which is on the introduction to scheduled waste and its characteristics. So later on, you can think about whether the waste that you mentioned just now, is it fall under the categories or not, okay? Okay, in module 1, the learning outcomes, we have 4. The first one, you will learn on how to classify scheduled waste into categories, scheduled waste 1 to 5, and then under the Environmental Quality Scheduled Waste Regulations 2005. Number 2, identify the hazardous waste characteristics, including initability, corrosivity, reactivity, and also toxicity. The third one, to apply the identification and classification, the knowledge that you know in the framework on the properties to determine whether a waste is a scheduled waste or not. It is very important when you work in a waste industry later. And number 4, to differentiate between hazardous waste from general or household waste using real case examples. Because if you could not differentiate the scheduled waste with general waste, especially in your own house, you are going to end up to dispose everything in a general waste bin, which is not good and not a proper management or disposal method. So first of all, we are going to go through the 5 categories of scheduled waste. You don't have to remember every single one, but the one that you deal later in your job scope, you have to really digest and understand the characteristic, how to handle storage and whatnot. So we have scheduled waste 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Under every scheduled waste, they have like, for example, scheduled waste 1, they have 10 types. Scheduled waste 2, they have 7 types. Scheduled waste 3, they have 27 types. Scheduled waste 4, 30 types, and scheduled waste 5, 1 type. So altogether, they have 77 types. So can you remember all the 77 types?
No.
No, and you don't have to remember, okay? So for scheduled waste 1, the scope is all about metal and metal bearing waste. We are going to see the examples later. Scheduled waste 2 is waste containing principally inorganic constituents. Okay, inorganic constituents, for example, heavy metals. Scheduled waste 3 is more towards organic constituents. So the definition is different there. Scheduled waste 4, the waste contain either inorganic or organic. Okay, and scheduled waste 5 is other waste, other types of waste. Okay, so we have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have total is 77 types of scheduled waste, and every single scheduled waste have different scope and also definition. Okay, according to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, they mentioned that the industry that contribute the most towards scheduled waste in Malaysia is the power plant, metal refinery, chemical industry, and also electrical electronics. So in the future, if you are working in this industry, you have to be aware that these industries are the main players in the generation of the scheduled waste. Whether you are the competent person or not, but if you are in that factory, you are actually being exposed to the impact or the effect of the scheduled waste. Okay, and also Selangor recorded the highest scheduled waste in 2019. Then the contribution is 25.4%, which is quite high in Selangor area. So as I mentioned earlier, these 4 industries, power plant, metal refinery, chemical industry, electric and electronic, is the main contributors in Malaysia. So basically these industries are a lot, that's why they are also the main contributors. If we look at a broader view on the comparative between Asian countries, so Malaysia is number 2. So compared to Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines and Singapore, Malaysia is leading at number 2. Number 1 is Indonesia, number 2 is Malaysia. And they mentioned that Malaysia and Thailand have similar industries that contributing, chemical, automotive, electronics, as mentioned by the statistic earlier. If we narrow down a bit on the e-waste, because I think most of us, nowadays we have so many electronic devices. So e-waste is one of the scope that we have to cater as well. In terms of per capita generation rate, if we look at the total annual e-waste volume, we are number 4. But if we divide it by the generation rate by population, we are at number 2. So in Asian countries, we are always top 2 in schedule waste. So it's quite alarming if we do not understand or we could not differentiate between schedule waste and solid waste. So you have to be aware whether you are in the field or not. I think generally we have to know and understand and also differentiate between schedule waste and solid waste. Okay, now we look at the schedule waste characteristic. By definition by the Department of Environment, schedule waste is a property that when present in a waste indicates that the waste poses a sufficient threat to merit regulation as hazardous. So the impact towards the environment and human health are very significant. So generally, the schedule waste characteristics, there are 4, main 4. Ignitability, corrosivity, reactivity and also toxicity. So you have to remember this at least. So I would like to make a short form. C is corrosive. Okay. And then R, reactive. Okay. I, ignite. T, toxic. So you can make a short form. CRIT. For you to remember, easier to remember. If you cannot remember, you put an I here, cirit. More easy for you to always remember the characteristics of the hazardous waste, which is corrosive, ignitability, reactivity and also toxicity. At least you have that awareness. Especially those who graduated in civil engineering, this is a basic knowledge that you should have. Okay, we are going to go one by one. So in terms of ignitability, this kind of waste is easy to catch fire and also to support combustion. So you have to be very careful if you are near ignitability characteristics of schedule waste. And also, unfortunately, the example of the schedule waste for ignitability, which is always support combustion and also easily catch fire, is schedule waste, for example, 417, which is pin. Do you have pin at home? Normally we have pin at home. Where do we place pin at home? Store. Store always near to the kitchen, where you cook, where there's heat and whatnot. So actually, all this lacquer, dye, paints, varnish, you should not put it near to your kitchen or any area that could provide heat. Okay, because it is easily catch fire and also support combustion. Okay, ignitability. Okay, the second one, corrosivity. Corrosivity is basically based on the pH. Either it is too acidic or too alkali. I think those who like dealing with chemicals normally in the lab, so you have to be very careful all the schedules 206, 201 because it could readily corrode the dissolve flesh, our skin, metals and other materials. So whenever you like dealing with chemicals in the lab, you have to be very careful. Mostly all the acid are corrosive. So that's why we have to wear lab coat, we have to wear glove and whatnot. There's always a procedure. You have to understand the procedure in the lab. Why? Because any corrosivity characteristic could easily corrode your flesh. Okay, the third one is reactivity. So reactivity is more towards the characteristic of certain waste that readily explode or undergo violent reactions or react to release toxic gases or fumes. But the one that they react could be air, could be water. So this kind of schedule waste is very important because, for example, your company is producing schedule waste reactive, schedule waste 317 for example, and you are trying to transport it from your premises or factory to the waste management center. Okay, during the transportation, accident happens. So normally we are going to put out the fire with water. But this kind of schedule waste, they are going to react with water and become explosion. So the one that drive the transportation that would like to transport the waste from the premises towards the waste management center, normally they have a basic training on how to handle the situation. But normally we as a maybe general in the community or netizen, normally we do not know how to handle this kind of thing. We normally are going to put out fire with water. That's why it is very, very important to educate more, to create awareness more, so that if something happen during the transportation of this kind of reactive waste, so we know what to do. Okay, and last but not least is the toxicity. Okay, toxicity normally waste that contain heavy metals in it. Okay, most of the industry or most of the factory in Malaysia or maybe at international level, they are going to produce sludge from their wastewater treatment. I think any type of industry is going to produce wastewater and also sludge. Any sludge that containing one or several metals is going to be classified as schedule waste 204, which is toxicity. If they have one, they also schedule waste 204. If they have many, they also schedule waste 204. So that means that if they only have one, for example, chromium, also danger already or is in the category of schedule waste. And if they have more, obviously they are in the category of the schedule waste 204. So normally waste from the premises or factory or company, when we transport to the waste management center, the first test that they do is the toxicity characteristic leaching procedure. Who in this training is familiar with this TCLP test? I think intern should be familiar because she's doing testing lab. So the TCLP is the first procedure that they will conduct, take the sample and then do the toxicity characteristic leaching procedure to determine how many heavy metals that could be leached out from that sludge. And whether the sludge, whether the heavy metals that they produce are exceeding the limit or within the limit. So toxicity is very important. Normally, most of the electronic devices, for example, lead and whatnot, they are going to have toxicity in it. Okay. So most of our industry are producing schedule waste 204. Okay. So now we have, you already know the schedule waste. We have schedule waste 1 to 5. We have 4 characteristics, which is CRIT or CRIT. And then if you're working in a waste industry, okay, the first one, you have to know the source of the waste or the source of the material, where does it come from? And then you have to know the types of process and also activity. For example, you're working at electronic company, for example, you have to know step by step of the process in order for them to produce the end product, which is to be distributed. And you also have to know the basic physical and chemical properties of the waste and also the composition and constituent of the waste. If you are a competent person, this becomes mandatory for you. Okay? Okay. I have one example here, which is a very simple company, which is the printing industry. There's a lot of printing industry also in our community because there's a lot of printing needed to be done. So what they do is that this competent person is very clear, or this company is very clear on what schedule waste that they are producing. So they have, in their process, they have raw material, they have pre-press zone, they have press zone. So in the pre-press zone, they have two, which is the image preparation and also plate fabrication. In the press zone, they have printing, collecting, review and also binding. So in this company, they have a very clear flow chart. They know that every single step is going to produce what kind of schedule waste. If you become a competent person, this is what you are going to do. So for every single steps of the way and also the flow chart, you know that raw material is already have schedule waste 429, 430, for example. Image preparation is going to produce this kind of schedule waste. Printing, because of the ink and whatnot, you are going to produce all this waste. Because different waste have different characteristics. They also have different number. For example, you see that this one is 4, this one is 3, this one is so already different. And also this kind of waste have different characteristics and different handling, storage as well as disposal method. Okay. So some of the company, for example, test company, they also have checklists whether this step is going to produce what kind of schedules. These are all good companies that are really understand the procedure and understand how they should handle it, and they try to make it in the system. So it will be easier for everyone in the industry to check everything, whether this waste is acceptance, whether it is falls under the schedule waste or not. Okay. Okay, these are all the ways that I mentioned, schedule waste 1 to schedule waste 5. Okay, 1 they have 10, for example. So schedule 1, 103, 102, 104, 101. These are all the schedule waste. Okay. For example, 1 or select waste. Okay, and then 201, 202, 203 and whatnot. So 204, this is the normal one that produced by our industry, sludge. 204. The most common sludge or industrial waste that is fall within the schedule waste category. So there's a lot more. So you don't have to remember everything, but once you are dealing with this kind of waste, you have to really understand the characteristics and whatnot. Okay, there's a lot of waste. Every single waste have their own code and also description, example of waste and also typical source of the waste. Normally all the chemicals from the lab. Okay, so you have see or glance through all the waste from schedule waste 1 to schedule waste 5 just now. Okay, so you have to really understand the one that you are dealing with, because you are the one that is going to storage it, maybe handle it, transport it and whatnot. Okay, so this is just a simple exercise. Is it a schedule waste or not? Yes or no. Okay. Generally, you think nuclear waste, is it a schedule waste or not? Yes. What about electronic waste? Yes. Construction and demolition? Yes. Okay. Pharmaceutical? Yes. All yes, So nuclear waste, yes, because it is toxic. Construction and demolition waste is quite tricky. Certain schedule waste or hazardous waste item only, for example, asbestos, fiberglass, gypsum are hazardous. The rest sometimes are not. For example, wood, bricks and whatnot are not hazardous. So you have to be very careful. And if you're working in a construction and demolition industry, you have to separate the bin between schedule waste and also solid waste. Okay, so that you can recycle the solid waste, but you can dispose the schedule waste properly. Electronic waste, obviously, because of the toxicity. And pharmaceutical waste, yes, because they have mercury and whatnot. Okay, so we have ended the module 1. Alhamdulillah. So there will be a quiz, schedule waste classification and characteristic assessment. So whether you really understand the module 1, of course you can answer the question, insyaAllah. So flashback, the 4 characteristics. Immutability, corrosivity, reactivity and toxicity. Crit or chirit. Okay, number 1, who's going to answer? Maybe Fatin first. Okay, what kind of waste is this? Normally we have it in our house. What do you think is the characteristic of this waste? Is it a hazardous or not? Hazardous? Immutability. So we'll see. So it is ignitability. So it's always support and also easy to catch fire. And normally we put it under our kitchen, under our stove and whatnot. So make sure after this course, you go back home and educate your parents on how to storage this kind of material. Okay. Number 2, maybe who wants to volunteer? Izzati,
So this is I guess a paint.
Yep.
So it's easy to catch fire.
Okay.
And it's a bit hazardous.
Hmm.
So it's chemical.
What is the characteristic between these four?
I guess it's a ignite.
Ignite, ignitability. Okay, we'll see whether it's correct or not. Yes, the same, ignitability. So normally, the one that Fatin guessed just now and Izzati, normally it is in the same place. We store it in the same place at home. Okay, the third one, Farisha. I believe every single one of us have this at our home. Unless your house is super clean, so you do not need this read set.
So I think this one.
From these four characteristics, which one? Toxic, okay. So, Farisha guessed it is a toxic. So, it is also ignitability. It always react to or support combustion. So, this kind of material normally support combustion. You can see that this logo over here, ignitability. Okay. So, now when you buy things, you can see the logo at the back so that you know that what is the characteristic. Okay, Intan, you're using Samsung or iPhone or what kind of phone that you're using?
I'm using Vivo.
Vivo, okay, Vivo. So any, I think, phone, they will have some kind of battery. So this kind of battery, what is the characteristics of this kind of waste from these four?
I believe it is toxicity.
Toxicity, Okay, normally, most of the e-waste are going to be related to toxicity because they have like certain lead, chromium that could leak out from the electronic devices. Okay, Fatin again. So this one also, every single one of us will have it in our house. If not, your toilet will not be super clean. So when you use this kind, I think most of us use this kind of material or this kind of liquid quite frequent at home. Either you or your mom are using it quite frequent at home. So Fatin, do you think which one from this characteristic?
I think this is corrosivity.
Corrosivity, So true, it is corrosive. So actually we have to wear gloves when we handle this kind of liquid or detergent. But normally we do not use glove. That's why sometimes our skin is like not rough and whatnot, because of we are using this kind of detergent and we are not using a proper glove. Okay, so review of module 1, learning outcomes. What are the 5 schedule waste categories? 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. What are the 4 hazardous waste characteristics and their determining criteria? Corrosive, ignite, and toxic. What is the short form? Cirit. How is a waste identified and classified as schedule waste? The source, the process, properties, and composition. Okay, it always goes down to the characteristics as well. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we have finished module 1. So we move on to the module 2. Okay, so are you ready for module 2? Are you ready for module 2? Yes. Okay, environmental and public health impact assessment. In this module, we are going to learn, we are going to describe the environmental and health impacts of schedule waste. I think when you understand the health impact towards you and the environment, you are going to be more, cautious about the schedule waste. If you do not know the impact towards you, your family, your friends, so you will think that it's the same schedule waste and solid waste. Okay, number 2, explain how leak or dump schedule waste migrates through soil and contaminates groundwater. It is very important because groundwater is the source. They are going to leak to the surface water and become the water intake, for example. And number 3, to discuss the acute and chronic human health effects. And number 4, relate historical waste disaster case studies to the environmental legislation introduced in response. Okay. I'm going to show a few case studies. The first one is in Labis Segamat. So, who's from Segamat? No one,
No one.
So, Fatin is from?
Keluang.
Keluang. Intan?
Masai.
Masai. Batu Pahat?
Keluang.
Keluang, okay. So, Segamat is our friend lah, our area. Okay, in Johor, we are all Johorian. Okay. In 2006, 300 tons of toxic waste buried at an illegal dump site in Labis. This is the irresponsible action of a company. They do not want to pay to dispose their waste, so they just bury it illegal dumping at somewhere near the housing area. So what happening is that the ammonia fumes discharged due to a chemical reaction. Maybe it's a reactive kind of chemical. So, an ammonia fumes discharged due to a chemical reaction at the dump site caused more than 300 people living near Kampung Sungai Gatong to evacuate their homes. So, just imagine, and a irresponsible party, they just buried the scheduled waste in one place. They affect the whole Kampung Sungai Gatong. You have to leave your house because of the ammonia fumes. If you stay there, you might die, you might have chronic illness and whatnot. So you have to leave your house, leaving all your things because of someone else doing. Is it fair to the people in Kampung Sungai Gatong? It's not fair at all. Okay, the second one. Oh, I think maybe Intan have some information because she's from Masai and this Persijilan is quite new to Masai. Intan, do you know about Kim disaster? Have you heard about it before?
Yes.
I think most of us have heard about it before. It's quite a big disaster. It happened in 2019. 43 tons of illegal dumping of scheduled waste were dumped in Sungai Kim in Pasir Gudang. So you just imagine, 43 tons. It's a lot. I think maybe more than 50 drums were dumped. Why? Because a company, a factory or a premises, they do not want to pay to dispose. So what they did is that they just dump it illegally at Sungai Kim. So you just imagine, all these characteristics is going to react in the Sungai Kim and they have many impact towards the people. So it's affected 6,000 people, 3,000 immediate treatment, 8 people in ICU at that moment. And also the chemicals detected when people come and do testing and whatnot from the water, and also the air, there were methane, toluene, xylene, ethylbenzene, dilumonine, which can lead to acute poisoning and the long-term effect is not known. So this is the one that they could detect it. What about others? Because it could be reacted with air, water and whatnot and become another chemical compound. Okay, so there's a lot of paper cutting showing that about the Kim disaster. They also have to monitor the air quality at 42 schools at that moment. Because it's too toxic and also affecting so many people. Okay. So another example is at Tebrau River, toxic waste dumping, and according to the DOE, it is scheduled waste 322 and 323. For this incident, over 480 individuals across Johor Bahru reported exposed to this scheduled waste, and 330 people developing acute symptoms like dizzy, throat irritation, nausea and whatnot. So because of the irresponsible party, the rest of us are having the impact. Okay, at international level, one of it is Probo Kuala in Ivory Coast, West Africa, where they like dumping scheduled waste in an open air at 12 to 18 sites around the city instead of treating it. I'm not sure whether they don't have the awareness or not because it is already 2006. When 2006, we already have all the rules and also regulations. And it caused 15 to 17 deaths, over 100 people, which have medical treatment for nausea, headache, skin rashes, respiratory and whatnot. And the groundwater at several sites was severely contaminated. Okay, so this is one of the serious illegal schedule waste case until United Nations audit and 2003 African court ruling against the Ivorian state. It is one of the biggest case that happened in 2006. Another example is the e-waste dump site in Ghana. This also doesn't make sense. It happens from 1990s to 2021. They are burning the e-waste. They are collecting the e-waste and burn it out. So the open burning release lead, cadmium and other heavy metals, and it shows that the soil at the burning site lead levels are 6,000. The severe level is 1,000. The accepted level is I think below than 50. But they found that it is 6,000 plus plus. Contamination at the soil already absorbed the lead levels because of the burning. The health impacts, all the workers show elevated musculoskeletal disorders, reduced lung function, anemia, and nearby children and residents are also exposed. So they do not know that the impact is towards themselves also. So the awareness are very, very important, and the status is, it is repeatedly listed among the world's most polluted places and illustrate the ongoing risk of informal, unregulated schedule waste recycling. If they do not have the information and also the education, they do not know how to dispose it properly. But the health impact is going back to them, okay? Okay, so we can see that any illegal dumping or the improper management of schedule waste will cause water pollution, mutation in animals and human, damage to the environment, wildfire, forest fire, and also potential to ignite or explode. So we have to control the schedule waste dumping or illegal dumping. In terms of human health, we are going to suffer from headaches, birth defects. All the babies have birth defects, for example, many layers of teeth, without nose, without eyes, something like that. Nausea, difficulty of breathing. If someone has, for example, asthma and whatnot, they are going to have like severe effect compared to normal person. And also, elderly people will have more impact towards compared to younger people. Skin irritation, chemical burns, kidney failure, cancer, genetic mutations, and physical deformations. So, Department of Environment are taking this quite seriously. They amend the Environmental Quality Act, Amendment 2022. It says that the penalty will be not more than 10 million. So the number is quite high. And also the one that is found guilty of doing the illegal dumping, they will be jailed not exceeding 5 years and also compound 100,000. So normally the one that is doing the illegal dumping, is it the boss or the worker? The workers. But the workers was assigned by the boss. Who's going to the jail? The worker. So you have to be aware, you have to ethically, you have to have integrity. For example, you are the competent person at the company. Sometimes your boss will pay you to do this kind of illegal dumping. Because in the end, the one that is going to the jail is the individual that is doing it. So you have to be very careful. Okay, I would like to show you one of the disaster that happens in 1942 up to 1953. They call it as a Love Canal disaster in the US. It happens in the Niagara Falls. They dump chemical compound, 22,000 tons of chemical compound is from a hooker company, a chemical company. At that time, they do not have any like rules, regulations or act that they must treat it first, or maybe they have to go through certain process before being disposed. So they just excavate a soil and then put everything in and then they cover it up back without liners and whatnot. But they are disposing 22,000 tons. They have 200 compounds, different types of chemical, 200 compounds. Maybe you name it, it's already in the list. And also 12 carcinogenic compound. Okay, what happened is that when this Love Canal disaster happened, the residents there have like choking smell, birth defects, all the babies have birth defects, burns hand, face effect, high white blood cell, leukemia and whatnot. And the sad thing is that after 40 years of the contamination, this is the area, the contamination is still there. They just encapsulate the waste, but the waste is not being treated or gone. It's still there. That's why normally when we're talking about scheduled waste, the impact towards the environment could be long term. So up till now it is still there. They cannot do anything about it, but they just encapsulate the area so that the contamination won't disperse to other places, for example. Okay, so we are going to have a look at the Love Canal disaster.
In 1892, William T. Love proposed connecting the upper and lower Niagara rivers by digging a 6-mile canal to provide cheap hydroelectric power to the area. This region, located in New York State, became known as Love Canal. However, after only a mile of the trench was done, the project was abandoned due to a lack of funding. The canal then became a landfill for chemical waste used by Hooker Chemical Corporation, the City of Niagara Falls, and the U.S. Army. Approximately 22,000 tons of at least 200 different chemicals were dumped by Hooker Chemical Company from 1942 to 1953. Then, in 1953, they sealed the landfill with a clay cap to contain the chemical waste and sold the land to the Niagara Falls Board of Education for $1. Despite Hooker's warnings of the potentially toxic.
So actually at that time, this company, they do not know that they have to have a special kind of disposal method. So they just excavate the soil, put the waste in for 11 years. It's a hooker company, it's a chemical company. There's a lot of compound, they put everything in and then they just seal it back with a clay cap. Okay, and then they sell the land that they put or dispose the scheduled waste into one party, and the other party develop a residential area, school areas and whatnot. So there's a community there. After a while, the cap or the clay cap cracked, and the scheduled waste starting to expose, and all the effects are being exposed to all the residents in this particular place. It's quite sad, how it happened.
The city proceeded to build an elementary school on the newly acquired land. In addition to the elementary school, hundreds of homes were built on the periphery of the former landfill site. This development of the land caused cracks to form in the clay barrier beneath. Soon after, residents began to complain of strange chemical odors, minor explosions, and black sludge seeping into the yards and basements. Children played outside and returned home with minor chemical burns on their feet and legs. These complaints began to surface in the early 1950s, but were not investigated until the late 1970s. Subsequent environmental sampling in basements next to the waste site detected over 200 different compounds. Of those, at least 12 are known to cause cancer. Additionally, high levels of dioxin, a chemical that the New York State Health Commissioner described as the most toxic substance ever synthesized by man.
So actually, they try to convince the government, but the government are not convinced this is the effect from the waste, because at that moment they do not have any regulations and act on the schedule waste. So they do not know the impact until I think this prolonged for 27 years until they change the president. Then only they are evacuated from that residential area. So you just imagine 27 years they are living with the impact of the schedule waste, and the government do not believe that it is happened because of the schedule waste until they like take samples and they believe, and at that time it is one of the most carcinogenic item, which is dioxin, that could cause cancer. So from there only they realize that schedule waste could not be disposed the same way with solid waste.
Many of these chemicals eventually migrated to nearby creeks, bioaccumulating in the tissues of plants and animals in the larger Niagara Falls area. Thus, the water contamination had negative repercussions on the entire ecosystem. With test results pouring in regarding the toxicity of the chemicals surrounding them, the residents of Love Canal became increasingly distressed. Lois Gibbs, the mother of a child at the local elementary school, began organizing the community and formed the Love Canal Homeowners Association in 1978 without any prior experience in activism. Her organization faced tremendous difficulty in getting the government to acknowledge that there was a problem, much less respond to it. pregnant women, and
Only
children
evacuation of pregnant, child, and
thousands of
elderly.
British residents still remain in danger. Then, in 1979, the EPA announced a result of blood tests that showed chromosome damage in over 30% of the residents in Love Canal, as opposed to only 1% in the typical population. Additionally, many children had birth defects. In 1 year, out of 22 pregnancies, only 4 babies were born normally. For example, one child was born with a cleft palate, deformed ears, impaired learning ability, deafness, and an extra row of teeth. By 1980, the residents had become so desperate that they took 2 federal officials hostage and demanded that the president take action. Amid a media frenzy and an upcoming presidential election, President Carter took note and a federal state of emergency was finally declared. A few months later, Congress authorized funding for the permanent relocation of all Love Canal residents. Finally, after years of collective effort and activism, the Love Canal residents seemed to be saved. Years after the fact, we can now see how the Love Canal disaster led to several positive developments in the United States. To help ensure that nothing like this happens again, many national legislative changes were enacted to help protect people and the environment. The Love Canal also led to the creation of Superfund, a governmental program established to help clean up hazardous waste sites and hold companies accountable for their own environmental responsibility. More than just structural changes, the Love Canal disaster also significantly shaped how Americans view hazardous waste and environmental protection as a whole. It spawned a grassroots movement that gave Americans a voice on environmental issues and championed the powers of democracy.
So what is the lesson learned from this Love Canal disaster? What happened is that there are 20,000 tons of chemicals, which has 22,000 compound and also 12 carcinogenic items. They have to fight, the local community have to convince the government, and they have to fight for 27 years before being evacuated. But the effect or the damage is already there. The chromosome mutated, and then the babies are all mutated, and also they are suffered from the dioxin impact and whatnot. And fortunately, after this incident, but they suffer the most. But after this, when the government noticed that, and also they aware of the impact of the scheduled waste, the United States Environmental Protection Agency come up with all the rules and regulations, new rules and regulations for scheduled waste compared to solid waste. They have Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, Toxic Substances Control Act, Clean Air and Water Act, Safe Drinking Water Act, Pesticide Act and whatnot. So whatever we have now, the rules and regulations that we have now is we adopt and adapt from the US Environmental Protection Agency. What we have in the Environmental Quality Act is what we adopt and adapt from the US Environmental Protection Agency. But the sad thing is that people in the Love Canal disaster suffer the most. And also they come up with this Superfund site cleanup. So this is funded by Superfund site cleanup, but because they could not treat it like wholly, so what they do is that they encapsulate the area so that the waste contamination won't go further. But this area is still contaminated up till now. Okay, so what did you learn from this Love Canal disaster?
That we have to use the proper way to
Dispose.
the scheduled waste. So
Yes.
other people that suffer from it.
True. Okay. Ni, Farisha.
Maybe government needs a proper rules or so that people yang tak bersalah tak melanggar.
True. Okay. Intan. Is it fair for the Love Canal disaster residential area to suffer all this? No.
Since the responsible parties not done their parts, so the canal need to take the consequences.
Okay. Fatin?
Maybe, or the irresponsible person. For now, maybe they don't.
No, they do not know because there's no rules or regulations at that time.
But for the next generation,
Hmm.
next generation, it's a long impact.
Yep. And also, what is the most sad thing about it is that, what worse is that it could happen again anywhere in this country unless we move expeditiously to prevent it. We already have the rules and regulations, the act, the compound, the fines and whatnot. But in 2026, does it still happen? Yes. Sadly or unfortunately, after we see all the impact towards the human health and the environment, what happened in the Love Canada disaster and whatnot, people are still doing the illegal dumping. Why they are still doing the illegal dumping? Because of profit. Most of the companies are thinking about profit. They do not want to pay for to dispose properly and whatnot. They're always thinking about profit. So any competent person have to you really have to have integrity to make sure that your company is following all the rules and regulations. Okay, previously we also have cadmium poisoning, Itai disease 1912. And also, this is in Japan. Another one is Minamata disease from mercury poisoning. This is all from the scaduaries. But the best thing about Japan is what? They learn from the mistakes and also whatever happened. So now you see that Japan is so cautious, so aware, very strict and whatnot, because they do not want this kind of thing happen again and again. Okay, another thing why schedule waste is very, very significant and we have to really concerned about it is that once there's a leakage of the schedule waste, it's going to move towards the groundwater. In the end, it's going to move towards the river. And then the river will go towards water intake. Water intake, what is the use of water intake? Intent. Okay, contamination leakage of schedule waste, move towards groundwater, move towards surface water, for example river Okay, and then this river will become water intake for water treatment plant. Water treatment plant will treat the water intake to be distributed to consumer, all of us at our house. Okay. So just imagine if this leakage of schedule waste polluted the groundwater and then polluted the river, do we have the water intake? No. So can the water treatment plant treat any water to distribute it to the consumer? No. There's no water. So we as consumer won't have clean water in our pipe. But I think most of the people do not see the big picture. Right? So they this illegal dumping is just one river, it's not going to affect the rest of the other rivers and there's no impact towards human being and whatnot. So actually this is the full circle of it. So I'm afraid in the end, our future, we do not have clean water from our pipe. Maybe we have to buy mineral water to brush our teeth, to take shower, to take wudu and whatnot. Okay. And also, okay, I would like to show you, for example, there's a spillage. For example, you are a competent person at the company, there's a spillage of schedule waste in your area. So you think that it's just a spillage, you're going to clean it up and then that's it. So I'm going to show you what will happen if a spillage happen. This is what we see from our naked eyes, it's just a spillage on the floor. But what really happens is that for example, this is a PCE spill, perchloroethylene spill, that resulting in a groundwater plume.
Animation depicts a groundwater.
So this is an animation of the spillage. Then it's going to spread and become plume at the groundwater. That's why we say that any leakage of schedule waste is going to affect the groundwater. You are going to see in this video how it affected the groundwater and then moving towards surface water and then we do not have the water intake. It's not as simple as that for schedule waste.
Built at a former dry cleaner. The transparent purple mass and black core represent PCE in soil.
This is what we see from our naked eyes, but what actually happens is underground.
The groundwater table, base of the earth, and groundwater sample locations are also shown in 3D. For a more detailed animation of the soil investigation, please view the animation reference above. A two-dimensional representation of the PCE groundwater plume is shown.
So you can see how far the PCE spill go through the groundwater area, and then when it react with the water, it becomes another compound and spread more.
Trichloroethene, cis-dichloroethene, and vinyl chloride. Even though PCE was the only contaminant still, these other chlorinated compounds are produced in groundwater.
So it end up not just PCE, there's another chlorinated compound as well because of the reaction.
Finally, a three-dimensional groundwater plume is shown using a combination of all four chlorinated solvents. This plume depicts both the horizontal and vertical extent of the chlorinated solvent plume in groundwater.
So just imagine how big is the spillage. That's why it's going to affect the whole chain of the water ecosystem. What you see from your naked eye is just a spillage of schedule waste. Or
Groundwater plume is then shown at multiple concentration levels to show where the highest chlorinated solvent concentrations are located. For more information, please visit www.se-ma.com or contact Jim D. at SE.
so the one you guys that have come to this course, I think you have to spread the awareness and also the knowledge to other people, because they do not see the significant or the critical impact of the schedule waste if a spillage happen. So this is another video I would like to show to you. You have to see on the, okay, the spillage is, or the leakage is from the landfill of the TCE. After a while, TCE change into CIS-DCE, and also after a while it changed into methane. What they are trying to do here is that they are using biological injection, which is content of vegetable oil. And also, you please take note of the duration on how they want to control the leakage of this schedule waste from dispersed towards another area. And also after some time, for example maybe 11 years, the contamination is still there. It's just that they try to like maintain or encapsulate the waste or contamination in that particular area and without dispersing more. But the contamination is still there. So that's why you could not use normal landfill for schedule waste. Because from the landfill itself, it's going to have a leakage. They are using like 27 points of vegetable oil to inject and also to control the contamination. Okay.
Trichloroethene, or PCE, is remediated in groundwater with biological injection. The panel shows groundwater concentration of 3 different chemicals through time.
So 3 different chemicals over the time because of the reaction. So this is a landfill. The leakage from the landfill move towards the groundwater. Over time, TCE convert to cis-DCE and also convert to methane. Cis-DCE and TCE is harmful, but methane is not harmful. Okay, see the duration. So they inject again the vegetable oil. They would like to come up with permeable wall or area so that they can control the waste.
Following the injections, the DCE concentration interval. Then, the DCE
So every single leakage is going to take a lot of years, just to like make sure that it won't spread out to other places. So it's better for us to dispose it properly rather than make it leakage towards the groundwater. So until from 2004 up to 2015. So just imagine how many years? 11 years, just to make sure that it turns or convert into something that is not harmful. Okay, so we have ended up module 2. So we have to discuss activities for the module 2, which is, can you discuss from any of the example of the case study what were the causes, health impacts and lessons from the improper schedule waste management. From all the examples that I show you, which one is your favorite and why do you think, and what is the best lesson that you could obtain from the improper schedule waste management? Okay, anyone volunteer?
I think that the family with us, all this while, we always heard complaining from Singaporeans that they have water, this, and they take this as a political issues, right?
Political issues and something to like, we are supposed to have water.
And just now, you mentioned that Selangor is the highest contributors.
That's why they always do not have water. Yes, that's true. For example, if for example we have like 10 river as the main water intake, if this keep on happening, maybe for example in Batu Pahat we only have like 4 water intake. So when we have 4 water intake, normally we have 10. So do you think 4 water intake is going to be enough to be treated and also distributed to the consumer? That's why we always have issues with water. Because who is the cause of it? Human as well. So it's like a circular loop that the effect is going back to us. Okay, that's a good point, Fatin. Okay, Intan.
From any case before. I think the one in
Kim, maybe because near to your place.
Yeah, to my hometown. I believe near the houses area now have the air purifier.
Every house, every single house.
Whether it's Korea or whatever. Since the case last time, people are being more aware of this issue.
That's true.
Not just the particular parties, but also the policy people around.
Actually, Pasir Gudang is my hometown, and during that time, I think my sister and also their kids was affected the most because they going to schools, and one of them have like severe asthma. So because of this Sungai Kim, one of my nieces and have to go to the hospital and also warded because they have severe attack. So it is like we can see that why do these people have to suffer because of the other parties. Okay. So I think like maybe the penalty is like 10 million is not enough. It could be more, right? Because you are like jeopardizing so many people around you. Okay. So Izzati, what's your favorite case study?
Like see the left hand.
The Love Canada disaster. Okay.
Yes, we can see that to some people by dumping that it's easy to solve their problem, but if we look at the long term, all the people that don't know about anything affect the most, especially for the kids. So it's very unfair for them. So yes, that's me.
So Farisha?
So for me, I think I like the e-waste dump site at Ghana. So I think maybe they don't have enough awareness,
Knowledge.
so that other people needs to face from their activities, the consequences.
That's true. So it comes with awareness, education, rules and regulation, competent person. So everyone has a role to play because maybe, for example, our parents, maybe they do not know. Right, that's why they just throw all the schedule waste in the general waste bin. So it's our responsibility to educate them. At least they know or they can differentiate between schedule waste and also solid waste. Okay, review of module 2 learning outcomes. So the lessons from any of the disaster we have discussed just now, and the leak or the dump waste migrate through soil to contaminate groundwater. I think Fatin also mentioned this is a very serious and also significant as well as critical impact. If we do not have water, I think most of us will suffer. But the one that caused the case is also human being, us. Okay, so what are the human health impacts of exposure to hazardous waste? A lot, headaches, nausea, severe and whatnot lah. And how did historical waste disasters shape environmental legislation? Honestly, Love Canal disaster is a turning point for United States Environmental Protection Agency to come up with all the rules and regulations of schedule waste that we enjoy today. So thanks to them, or thanks to the Love Canal disaster, that all the rules and regulations are now here. But sadly or unfortunately, we still practice illegal dumping. So we must fight the illegal dumping. Okay. Okay. So module 3. We move on to the module 3. The regulatory compliance and operational management. Sometimes the competent person, only one person in that particular company. They could not afford to hire like 5 competent persons. So one company, one competent person. The competent person is the one that knows everything, every rules, every regulations, every procedure. So that is their responsibility to educate the boss and all the workers, the staff, on how to comply with the regulatory and also operational management. Most of the companies, they want to, I would say they would like to cut costs. That's true. They would like to cut costs. They only go for profit, but not all companies, most of the companies. Okay, model 3, the learning outcomes. Number 1, you could state the regulatory requirements for on-site storage duration and quantity limits of the schedule waste. The duration to store the schedule waste also have certain compliance. You have to apply the correct labeling, hazard placarding requirements for schedule waste containers and transport. Explain the institutional arrangement for off-site treatment and disposal of schedule waste, and also describe the application process according to the Environmental Quality Schedule Waste Regulations 2005. So in this module, it's all about requirements on how to store, handle, and also manage schedule waste in your premises, company or factory. Okay, the first one, a competent person or a company, they must know that the schedule waste generated in that particular company, you could store it for 180 days or less, but the waste must not exceed 20 metric tons. So it's either 180 days or not more than 20 tons. But what is happening in the waste generators nowadays, they would like to store it as long as possible. Why? They want to cut costs. They do not want to dispose and pay something. Okay, storage area at the site, it must be away from employees, because if some employees do not have any background, awareness and also education on the schedule waste, they might go to that area and then maybe have a break, smoke and whatnot. If it is reactive, what will happen? Explosion. Okay. So away from source or heat ignition, so away from any process, away from potential flood, we know that any leakage, contact with water is going to have a very bad impact. So away from potential flood area and away from edge of hill and slope. And this figure shows exactly what a company would do. All the don'ts, they do it. So make sure if you become competent person, do not do the same. Okay. The storage design criteria, you must put danger sign, schedule waste storage and whatnot. I'm afraid some of the employees might eat at the area because maybe they think, oh, this area is quite quiet and they want to take a break there. So you, as a competent person, you have to make sure that the area have adequate signs. For example, danger, schedule waste storage and whatnot. Okay, it must be sheltered or roof area, adequate space, 35% extra, storage 180 days or 20 metric tons. Do you think most of the companies in Malaysia have this kind of storage area? Maybe selected ones, most of it no. Okay, concrete floor free of cracks and gaps. Why? Why it must be free of cracks and gaps?
So if leak, so it's not spread out.
The spillage happen, if there's a crack, it's going to go to the soil, groundwater and whatnot. Because from your naked eyes, you only see the spillage. You clean it up and you think it's okay, but actually it's producing plume in the groundwater. That's why no cracks and gaps. Okay, they must have perimeter drains, pre-collection sump, concrete dike area to be graded to a sump and whatnot. But I think most of the company in Malaysia do not have the capacity to do something like this. You will be amazed if you go audit and you see something like this. Normally, no. And separate compartment for incompatible waste for schedule. This is also not happening in Malaysia. If they can store it in one place, they will put everything there. Okay. And the best way, the storage area must have forced ventilation system, explosion-proof lighting and whatnot. So all these requirements is required, but most of the companies, even the basic one, they could not provide. Okay, this is the ideal way of putting or storage the schedules. Okay, this is some of do's and don'ts. Containers should be closed at all times. Normally, where do we see this kind of situation? Maybe intern, no, in the lab. Normally in the lab, all the students are doing an experiment and then they just leave it open or they do not wash the beaker properly. This is going to happen. But in a company, normally it should be, the container should be closed all the time. The same goes with the lab. Any schedule waste that we handle, it should be closed at all time. Okay. Okay, this is also what happened. Sometimes we transfer one schedule waste or chemical from one container to another container. If it is far away, the spillage might happen. So make sure if you want to transfer, you have to, the container should be as nearest as possible. We do not want any leakage. Okay, so this also normally we see in the lab. When student graduated, they just leave all the chemicals and the technician will have to clean it up for them. So if a container is in poor condition, leaking, sometimes we do not like alert the management. So in the end, it's going to end up like this. But this is just like from our eyes, but we do not want it to like explode, react and other things that might or could happen. So make sure in a good condition on container. Sometimes if solvents or liquid form, they receive in bulk, so they have to have this kind of storage tank. Fire hazard must be prevented. Special tanks for spent oil and lubricants should allow discharge of water and sludge. And also, actually all the schedule waste, if we want to dispose, we could not roll it or push or drag. Because contamination might happen, spillage might happen. So the best way is to have a cart to bring all the drums and also the container. Okay, number 2. The containers that are used to store schedule waste shall be clearly labelled with the date and also the name and also the date when it is first being generated. Okay, if every company practice this kind of regulations, there will be no illegal dumping. Because of what? Can they like dump a drum that have a label? First generated by Farisha in 2026 and then they dump. Of course, Farisha will be jailed. Right? So mostly the companies will not follow the requirements. So for example, in organic and organic liquid waste must use the drum, bunghole drum. Okay. If for schedule waste in solid form, normally we use the open top drum with cover and clamp, either steel or plastic. For a broad range of waste streams, such as oil and solvent, normally we use the intermediate bulk container. In organic or organic liquid, normally jerrycan and carboy. Packaging requirement, no hole or crack. It is very important. This one is quite familiar. Normally we see at the clinic and hospital for clinical waste and pathogenic waste. For dry solid waste, for example e-waste and whatnot, just in a corrugated box or carbon box. Dry solid waste with no liquid flow in the jumbo bags. So every single or every type of waste, they have their own containers. They have their own requirements. Okay, so this is how they label it. Actually, they have the sign of what kind of waste is it, and the date, the name, when it is generated. Okay, it is very clear. Waste code, waste name, date generated. For example, 1st January 2027, name of the waste generator. For example, test company, and then address and telephone number. So every single drum, every single box, every single container must have this label. Why? If you are going to transport this kind of waste, if anything happen, you know what type of waste is it. And you remember that why we need the date generated. You can only store up to 180 days. Okay, so that's why it is very important. But mostly when we go audit, most of the company will lie about the date generated because they want to store it as long as possible. And sometimes they only use like a piece of paper. When it's rain, it's wet, all the waste code is blurry, it's gone. So they are not taking it seriously. Okay, this is all the play card or the sign of the description and also label, explosive, inflammable and whatnot. So when we see all this label, we know automatically, oh, this one is explosive. So do not maybe exposed to heat, for example. So the label is very important. If the competent person or company do not care or aware about all these labels, they are not actually competent to run a business that produce cannabis. Okay, the third one, land farming, incineration, disposal and offsite facilities for recovery, storage and treatment can only be carried out at prescribed premises. Normally, all the scheduled waste will be sent to, where is our waste management center? Where is our waste management center? Quality? Quality alam. Where is quality alam? Quality alam is in Seremban. Quality alam is in Seremban. So, all the waste from Semenanjung, we call it as waste management center, quality alam in Seremban. All the waste in Semenanjung, Sabah and Sarawak will be sent to quality alam. But they also have like different companies that also do the same business as quality alam. The thing is that some of the company, they would like to apply with DOE to manage their own waste. Do you think you agree if you are the DOE officer? You do not want to send to quality alam, the one that manage the waste management of the scheduled waste. You said that you would like to apply for off-site facilities to manage your own waste. You do not want to send to quality alam. Because if they have their own disposal site, the possibility of they disposing it or not properly manage it is quite high. That's why it's not easy for the DOE to give the permission. Most of the companies, they are trying to need. And for example, some of the companies also apply for on-site incineration. You have a company, you want to build an incinerator just next to your company. You do not want to send to quality alam. But mostly maybe big companies, established companies, they are like qualified to do this. But all the small companies no. But normally it's very hard for the Department of Environment to agree to it. And some of the waste generators, they apply for special management of scheduled waste. they say that actually their schedule waste is not falls under the schedule waste. For example, gypsum waste in Pasir Gudang. It is categorized under the schedule waste, but the heavy metals that they produce is very low, not exceeding the limit. So they would like to apply to DOE. Could we like exclude our schedule waste as not one of the schedule waste listed and not to be disposed in the quality alam? So they are trying to do that as well. But sometimes the DOE normally will play safe. They just reject every application because they know if this company get the permission, other companies will do the same. So it's quite tricky there.
But if we come up with an idea to utilize that waste,
Yes, it could be now they are moving to a circular economy, trying to like upcycle, recycle, reuse the waste. That is another thing because in the end, the end product must be comply with the regulations. So it's okay. But this is they do not want to dispose. They want to dispose it in a normal landfill, not in a secure landfill. Okay. So appropriate labeling very important because okay, if you notice. Okay, later on when you drive in the highway, make sure if you see any quality alam or waste management center lorry, they must have play card at the front, at the back, left and right, showing the play card, the waste that they are carry or transport right now is like flammable or corrosive or inevitability or whatnot. So that maybe you can be careful or potong them and run away because if something happen it's going to be like super hectic so at least you know because if you do not know you are not aware at all and you are not like cautious it's just okay just next to the quality alam transport flammable waste right so at least today you got a knowledge that a play card is very important. If you realize a waste management lorry is around you, make sure look at the play card what type of waste that they are trying to transport. Okay. Or maybe accident happens, you know that, oh, do not put out with fire, the fire with water. Use like sand or whatnot. Okay. So you can be the superhero. Okay. So the activity for module 3, we finish the module 3. So our discussion on the compliance audit. So I will give you time, for example, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. There are 3 factories because we are discussing about the compliance of the regulations. There are 3 factories. The first factory, they have electroplating shop generating 18 million tons per year of Schedule Waste 204 sludge. They want to store it 90 days on site. Does it comply or not? Okay, number 1. Number 2, printing company generating 35 million ton per year of Schedule Waste 3 to 2 solvent waste. They want to store it on site indefinitely. Okay, whether it is comply or not. If it is not comply, what should they do? Okay. Factory 3, pharmaceutical manufacturer generating expired product waste, proposing to treat it themselves rather than send it to quality alam. I've discussed already these 3 scenario just now in the module 3. So I give you time, 5 to 10 minutes. Any volunteer could solve any of the compliance audit discussion of factory 1, 2 or 3. Okay? Boleh. Banyak masa. boleh ke nak pergi ambil air kejap? Nak ambil air kejap. Ni, saya pergi tanya dulu. Okay, 10 minutes ya. 1 jam ke?
1 jam 40 minit.
1 jam, baru 1 jam 40 minit. Okay. So any of you would like to present for the first one? Factory 1. Who wants to discuss on the factory 1? Whether electroplating shop generating 18 million ton per year of scheduled waste 204 sludge stored 90 days on site. Is it comply or not? If it is comply, why? If it is not comply, why? Comply. Oh, Izzati wants to answer. Okay.
So it's comply because less than 20 metric tons, and then it's less than 160.
Okay. So the rest, are you agree with the answer? Yes. Okay. It is compliant. So the factory 1 compliance audit is very simple, straightforward. It is also comply with the 90 days and also the number or the amount of metric ton per year of the schedule waste 204. Okay, what about factory number 2? The answer should be quite lengthy for factory number 2, the printing company. Who wants to answer? Intan? Okay.
So for factory number 2, it is not within the years. It is not within the 20 tons metric tons per year, which is it's over 35. More than 20 tons. And also wants to store on site indefinitely. Okay, so for them to store on site, they have to have the treating area. The treating area, they need to have the competent person. They need to have the treating area should be away from the factory.
But first of all, they have to what? What is the first step before they could have a store on site? They must apply to Department of Environment. They have to apply to the Department of Environment first. They have to maybe say all the situation that they are generating this kind of waste and whatnot. Whether the Department of Environment is going to agree or not. That they could have their store on site, and then after the
Question is, store on site is same as they dispose themselves.
They are trying to store and treat it by their own on their own. Okay, it's not the normal storage. If the normal storage, just like the factory number 1, this is they want to do more than that. But actually, they have to have the permission from the DOE first, whether they are allowed to have the store on site, and they want to store more than the requirement, the limits of the tons and also the number of days, right? Okay, so factory number 3?
I think factory number 3 is not compliant because
so number 2 is compliance or not? No, not compliance. Factory 3, why? Because
cannot treat the scheduled waste without any approved treatment facility. So I think it's better just send to the kualiti alam, because kalau kita tak treat dia dengan bagus, so dia akan hazard untuk orang lain juga.
That's true. So the pharmaceutical manufacturer generating expired product waste proposing to treat it themselves rather than send it to kualiti alam. And one more thing, I think if they send it to the DOE, the first thing is DOE will ask them how much they producing in a year, for example. So what is the capacity of the storage that they have, and the frequent they transport to the kualiti alam and whatnot. All those requirements they must list it out, and then there's a checklist they have to apply to DOE. If DOE think that this pharmaceutical manufacturer could treat and also rather than send it to kualiti alam, then only they can do it. If not, the factory 3 is also for the time being, they do not have the information needed, and also it is not compliant. Okay. So far this is the discussion, or maybe just some practice on the compliance audit. So if you become the auditor, normally if you have all the certification, for example, SEPSWAM, SEPITSO, SEPAITSO, if I'm not mistaken, all these certification that you have from the DOE, Department of Environment, there's a lot of certification for scrubber, for wastewater, for schedule waste and whatnot. Normally for schedule waste, they will take SEPSWAM. Okay, when you want to be certified under SEPSWAM, you have to complete 30 man-hour. That means you have to follow a consultant or any company to do audit, like to practice audit at least 30 days or 30 man-hour. After you completed the exam, you pass, and then you follow certain company or lead auditor to go to audit to 30 days of activities required or maybe related to the schedule waste. Then only you are SEPSWAM certified. Then when you are the SEPSWAM certified, you are the competent person of that particular company that take care of all this compliance and regulations and whatnot. At the same time, you also can become or take another exam, which is environmental auditor. So you can become the competent person. You also could become an auditor for other companies. Okay. But the environmental auditor, also you have to complete another 30 man-hour. Actually, I think the 30 man-days or man-hour is valid because you have to be familiar with the situation in terms of audit, how you want to become the competent person and whatnot. If you just take the exam and pass it, and then you become the competent person at the company, I think your experience will not justify your position. Because you have to take care of the whole company. Only one competent person at one place. Previously, okay, for example, a company, they have 2 branches. Previously, they could only have one competent person, but now, one company, one competent person. Even though it's a branch, the branch also have to hire another one competent person. The competent person always have to be there at the company, during the audit, every single day, the competent person must be there to control or maybe to look out for that particular company. So you could become the SEPSWAM certified, and also you could become the environmental auditor, so that you can audit, and also you will be familiar with all the requirements and regulations of the Department of Environment. Why I would like to suggest you to become the environmental auditor as well? Because you know what to do when an auditor come to your company. Because if not, you only have the cap of the competent person. You just do your work, and then you only focusing on whatever that you have to do in the company without maybe prepare yourself for an audit. Normally, you are also become the person that is going to answer all the audit question or the audit session. And the maybe certified or whatnot of the company will depends on you. You are the one that is going to do the documentation, answer during the audit session and whatnot. So might as well you also go for environmental auditor. When you have experience as environmental auditor, it will be like a win-win situation. You are also certified as competent person, and also you could become you could be ready to any audit coming to your company. So your boss must love you so much, because you always make sure your company is in good hands. So it is not, I think, for those of you, because you are trying to maybe working in waste industry and whatnot, it is very important for you to get certified. Because there's a lot of exposure when you taking all the exams and also following all those audit. You are going to be more experienced and also aware and quite competent to do your job. Okay, So the review of Module 3 learning outcomes. What are the storage duration and quantity limits for schedule waste? You still remember? Okay, good. What are the labeling and hazard placarding requirements for schedule waste and its transport? It is? Is it compulsory? Yes, it is compulsory to know which kind of or what type of the hazard or the characteristic, so that you have to put the placard. How is it off-site treatment and disposal of schedule waste managed in Malaysia? Sent to Quality Alam. When would a generator apply for special management under Regulation 7.1? When they try to apply or they try to exclude their waste as one of the schedule waste. Okay. So we move on to the last module, which is the treatment, recovery and disposal method for schedule waste. Okay, for module 4, the learning outcomes, there are 4 as well. Number 1, you could compare treatment and disposal options for schedule waste, including incineration and secure landfilling. Number 2, you could describe the design requirements and function of liner and leachate collection system in secure landfill. Number 3, evaluate the feasibility of recycling schedule waste, such as substitute raw material in fired clay brick manufacturing, and also relate changes in physical and mechanical properties of bricks to the percentage and type of waste incorporated. Okay. So in this topic, you are going to maybe learn some technologies or maybe upcycle, recycle that has been practiced for some of the industries. Okay, normally schedule waste in Malaysia, they have evolved from cradle to grave to cradle to cradle. So what is the difference between cradle to grave to cradle to cradle, if anyone know? We have shift the paradigm from cradle to grave to cradle to cradle. What is cradle to grave and cradle to cradle? Intan, do you know what is the difference between cradle to grave to cradle to cradle? Anyone? Volunteer?
I said cradle to grave. From the raw materials to the process and to the disposal.
Okay. Cradle to grave, normally they just focusing on the generation of the waste and then direct to disposal. Okay. What about cradle to cradle?
Cradle to cradle, maybe from the raw material and then to the waste and then to the new product.
So from the waste generation, from the raw materials, waste generation, and then they're trying to like recycle, upcycle, reuse, or maybe recover before going to disposal. Cradle to cradle also support circular economy. We know that Department of Waste, they launched circular economy in 2025 August last year. So they have so many pillars on how to support the circular economy. And also we have shift from cradle to grave to cradle to cradle paradigm. So most of the industries nowadays, they are producing waste. They are trying to do this. They are trying to find alternative on how to do this before the disposal. One thing is that they could make profit because they are turning all the waste into something else. They might have profit. The second thing is that they also can cut costs to be disposed. For example, they producing like 15 ton, and then 10 ton they use it as recycle, only 5 ton for disposal. So the cost that they have to pay for disposal is less compared to before. If you are still practicing cradle to grave, all the waste that you generate automatically go for disposal. You do not think outside the box. You do not think of something on how to recycle, upcycle, reuse and recover it. So you just direct to dispose, which is not good. We are in the 2026 now, so we have to shift from cradle to grave to cradle to cradle. It's a strategy to create waste to wealth, waste as resources and generate national income. That's why sometimes most of the companies also have their own lab to test everything, because they need to know the characteristic in order to manipulate it and also to become something else. If they do not understand the characteristics of their waste, so they could not think of something on how to recycle, upcycle, reuse or recover. So they just dispose it away. Okay. So cradle to grave, normally from the waste generation direct to dispose. But if we support the cradle to cradle, waste generator, treat it, recover it, and then the rest, then only we dispose it to the landfill or the incinerator. Okay, so actually we are supporting this shift of the paradigm. Normally cradle to grave, direct to landfill, but for cradle to cradle, we are trying to reduction, reuse, recycle, upcycle and also recovery. How to reduce the waste, minimize the waste, utilize the waste, maybe waste to energy or whatever that we could do for resource recovery. That's why nowadays they want to appoint competent person with certification, because they know that someone with certification will have a broader view compared to someone without certification. Okay, the most common method for schedule waste is incinerator. The most common method for schedule waste is incinerator. Why we could not dispose it in a landfill? The normal landfill for solid waste. Why we do not dispose it in a normal landfill?
Because it's harmful.
Because it's harmful, and also we already know and also understand schedule waste are different from solid waste. Okay. So, have any one of you went to any incinerator or quality alam or any waste management center before? No, no. So incineration basically they burn your waste. Okay. For example, your waste come in a jumbo bag, in a container, in a box, in whatnot. They are going to burn it together with the container. They are not going to transfer it into something else. No, they are going to burn it all together with the container. That's why we have to choose the correct container, because whatever waste comes to the waste management center is going to stay there for months before being disposed. They have to do tests first whether this kind of waste could be direct to the secure landfill, or it should be burned, or it should be treated. So there's a lot of schedule waste waiting to be disposed. Maybe 100 jumbo bags, 1,000 drums waiting to be disposed. That's why when you send it or transport it to the waste management center, it must be in the correct container. If you just maybe pack it in the plastic or any not suitable container, it's going to leakage at the waste management center. Okay. So combustion or incineration, basically we just burn everything. It permanently destroy many of the hazardous waste characteristic. We have the 4 characteristic. So we have this waste, for example, we send 1000 kg. In the end, you are going to bring back 0.01 kg in terms of ash and slag. The rest, burn. Okay, that is good about incineration. If you like dispose it in a secure landfill, is it going to be there forever? It's still going to be there forever. It's not going to be destroyed. So this is what is good about incineration. The volume and the weight of the hazardous waste is greatly reduced by incineration. As I mentioned, you bring 1000, you bring back 0.01 kg. The toxic compounds are converted into less harmful compounds because you already burn it at a very high temperature, minimum 850 degrees, okay? And then the toxic compounds are converted into less. The performance of incinerators can be predicted and measured on a continuous basis. If you put it in the landfill, who's going to monitor the landfill? But incinerator is like a system, so you can control the oxygen and whatnot. And minimize the usage of land is very important. I think nowadays we have a very big issues of scarcity of the land. Do we have enough land? If you have a land, obviously we want to do what? School, house, university and whatnot. Do you want to make a landfill? It will be the last in the list. But we have to remember, the more population, the more waste generation. The more landfill it should be. But the more population, the more waste generation, less landfill. So where does our waste will go? So we do not have disposal area for the waste. That's why people prefer incineration method. But incineration method, they have the disadvantages. What are the disadvantages is that the fly ash that you already burn all the waste, it should be safely disposed. Sometimes it accumulated all the heavy metals there. Okay. And then incinerators, because it burns, normally it's going to emit many heavy metals, many gas emission that you could not predict because you are like combining so many types of scheduled waste, so you could not expect what kind of gases will be emitted. And normally incinerator, if you build one incinerator, the ROI will be like 10 years and more. And incinerators produce fine particles, which is like quite dangerous also to the atmosphere. And also local communities are often opposed to the idea of locating incinerators not in my backyard. What does it mean by not in my backyard? If they want to build an incinerator, do you want the incinerator near to your house? Of course not. So everyone will reject the proposal of the local communities. They do not want their residential area near to the incinerator because we know incinerator burn scheduled waste. When they burn scheduled waste, a lot of emissions are going to come out from the incinerator. But now they have like a good filter and whatnot, but still the emission will occur. But the best thing is that they will reduce the number of leachate. There's no leachate because they burn it out all, okay? And then sometimes the supporters of the prevention, minimization and whatnot says that incinerator will decrease this effort. Why? If you put, for example, 1000 kg, you are going to bring back 0.01 because the rest are combusted by the incinerator. So why we should think about recycle, upcycle, reuse and recover? Because the incinerator could settle it all. Why do we have to like go a long way to think about all this kind of stuff? So sometimes they said incinerator will prevent the cradle to cradle concept. And also it always contribute towards carbon dioxide emission. Okay, so because no one has visited Quality Alam or incinerator before, so this is a like exclusive. I think people who visited Quality Alam only could get this video. Okay, we can see that. Okay, you can see that how from the waste generation from a premises, a company or maybe a factory, they are going to transport to the waste management center, which is Quality Alam, and then how Quality Alam do it step by step to determine whether your scheduled waste have to be treated, burned, or could be directed to the secure landfill. Okay, there's one thing also you have to know. Normally, for normal waste, we dispose it in a landfill, right? So what is the name of what is the difference between landfill for solid waste and scheduled waste? This one is secure landfill. This one is why it must be secure landfill? Different layer, more stringent requirements, because we are talking about what? Scheduled waste, okay? So actually for solid waste, sanitary landfill, solid waste landfill, they have level 1, 2, 3, 4. Only level 4 is categorized as sanitary landfill. That means it have all the equipment from level 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then they call it as a sanitary landfill. For example, this only like maybe fans. This like gas capture. And this is like leachate collection. For number 4, they have all of it. Then they call it as sanitary landfill. So for solid waste, they have level 1, 2, 3 and 4. So it ends up with sanitary landfill with the most equipped facilities. But if we're talking about scheduled waste, it always goes to secured landfill. The 0.01 kg of the ash slab that after we burn the waste is going to go to secured landfill. So you have to be alert of the difference between sanitary landfill and secure landfill. Scheduled waste always secure landfill. Okay. Then only we can have a look at this video.
The legislation stipulates 77 categories of what is
Remember the 77 categories?
loosely called toxic and hazardous waste. In 1991, Quality Alam Certificate Berhad was set up to participate in the privatization of scheduled waste management in Malaysia. 4 years later, in December 1995, Quality Alam was awarded a 15-year exclusivity to set up and operate the scheduled waste management system for Peninsular Malaysia by the federal government. The task covers the complete job of the collection.
Have you seen this lorry before?
Treatment.
No.
And final disposal.
You are not alert enough,
Quality Alam is a wholly owned subsidiary of UEM Environment, which is the holding company of various environmental interests of UEM World Berhad. Other companies under UEM Environment include Quality Hikmat Alam, Quality Hikar Alam, and E-Hidaman. Completed in June 1998, the Waste Management Center, or WMC, is the first and
they call it as Waste Management Center, which is Quality Alam.
Unlike in most countries, where scheduled waste facilities specialize in 1 or 2 treatment modes, all 3 treatment plants and the landfill are located at the same premises in Malaysia's Integrated Scheduled Waste Management Center. In short, WMC provides...
So that is the transporter, the lorry of the Quality Alam. They will send all the documents and then they will weigh the weight of the lorry or the waste.
Manufacturers, who are the main scheduled waste generators. Another source of scheduled waste is recycling and recovering activities and on-site treatment facilities. The chain of activities in waste management begins at factories. Wastes have to be properly packed and labelled before they are sent to WMC for treatment and disposal. Quality Alam has established a nationwide marketing and promotion network whose function is to disseminate information and advice on the practice of proper waste management to the industries. The entire country from Perlis to Sabah is fully covered by Quality Hikmat Alam.
So that is the location of Quality Alam.
Marketing agent appointed by Quality Alam. Besides advising customers, marketing agents also coordinate.
So you have to fill the form. They have like e-suite system.
Service as well. A marketing agent personnel is attired in Quality Hikmat Alam uniform and carries an authorization card. Specially appointed waste transporters licensed by DOB are regularly checked by Quality Alam to ensure the quality of service.
Okay, most of the driver of the lorry, they have to be like well trained because of any emergency. They have to be the first person to respond to it. And also they have like their own badge, and also they have the alarm system. Whenever the driver stops somewhere, the alarm in the Quality Alarm will starting to on, because they afraid that if they stop somewhere, they are going to do illegal dumping, for example. So that's why the route that they have to travel also is decided by the DOE. They could not like simply using like not a highway, using maybe different route and whatnot. No, every single stop they have to inform the HQ. If not, they are going to be fined and so on, because they want to control the whatever being transported from the premises to the waste management center must go through this certain area, and also inform the HQ if anything, or if they want to stop by.
At all times, trucks are fully equipped with extra safety.
So they have gone through training if anything happens.
Besides being trained by the Fire and Rescue Department, truck drivers are periodically familiarized with emergency response plan procedures through mock situations of emergency. Loaded with the consignment.
They also could not go exceed the speed limit.
The DOE approved.
This is the approved route that they can drive through.
Upon arrival at the WMC, the weight of the truck, together with its content, is recorded.
Okay, the driver will take all the documents from the premises or the company that you have all the data, what is the code, what is the characteristic, and how many kg of the waste that you want to transfer to waste management center, for example. And also at the same time, they already have a system now, e-Swiss, they call it e-Swiss. They have to also key in the data. But when the lorry arrive, they will weigh the amount of the waste, and then they will maybe record what type of waste, how many kg and what not, and then only they will put it in like waiting area for the waste.
Waste tracking system. The truck then proceeds to the quarantine.
This is by using jumbo bag.
Here, samples are taken from the waste, which are then sent to the laboratory for analysis to determine the required method of treatment. To ensure accurate and speedy.
This is something that I would like to highlight. All the waste will go to the waiting area. They only take like certain samples going to the lab, and then at the lab they are going to do all the tests, for example, toxicity, characteristic, leaching procedure to determine the heavy metals, whether it is exceeding the limit or comply, the bomb calorimeter and whatnot. So all these requirements, if it is comply, it could go straight to the secure landfill. If it is not comply, they have to go certain treatment, and in the end maybe some combustion, then only they go to the secure landfill. So this determination will take some time. That's why I said if you go to this Quality Alarm, you're going to see like thousands of drums and also jumbo bags waiting to be disposed. If you love doing lab so much, I think this job is suitable for you. You don't have to see contact with human, just dealing with waste every day, doing your lab testing.
All scheduled waste samples. Quality Alarm has a comprehensive range of laboratory facilities manned by trained personnel. Among the waste analyses carried out are the toxicity characteristics leaching procedures, or TCLP test, organic carbon test, oil and grease, calorific value, and heavy metal analysis.
Why do they measure calorific value? Why do they measure calorific value? Why do they measure the calorific value for the waste? Why? Anyone? It is very important to measure the calorific value because if you want to burn something, you have to use fuel, right? But certain waste, they have a very good or high calorific value that they could act as a fuel. So you are going to save on the fuel, you are going to use the waste as the fuel. That's why they do the calorific value.
Established a set of waste evaluation guidelines and standards to prescribe the appropriate treatment. The guidelines include the landfill acceptance criteria for the approval.
Okay, actually they are trying to comply with the waste evaluation guidelines. That's why they take a sample and do all the tests, whether the test is comply with the TOC, the oil and grease, the toxicity characteristic leaching procedure. If all the parameters are meeting the landfill criteria, so they do not have to do anything about it. They just send it direct to the secure landfill. Okay, but if one of the criteria, for example, the toxicity characteristic leaching procedure, the TOC, the OG is not comply with the standard, then they have to do something about it. Either it's a treatment or combustion process. So the waste evaluation guidelines are very important, and this is the first thing that they do once your waste arrive at the waste management center.
Waste at a secured landfill without treatment. To further ensure ease of obtaining waste analysis and for independent testing, Quality Alam has appointed several private reference laboratories for the purpose. Organic waste in solid or liquid forms, such as mineral oil, solvents, glue.
So organic waste will have different routes, inorganic will have different routes.
The incineration plant is equipped with a rotary kiln, a secondary combustion chamber.
Okay. Did you see this? This is the inside incinerator. Normally, they are going to put the drum waste is the schedule waste that coming from the waste generator, and then sometimes they put different solid waste or schedule waste with high calorific value as the fuel to help or to assist to burn the schedule waste. Okay, that's why they always detect or always test the calorific value of the waste. So this is inside incinerator, how they burn your schedule waste, and they will burn it together with the container. If it comes with the drum, they will burn the drum. If it comes with the jumbo bag, they will burn with the jumbo bag.
Flue gas cleaning system. Waste is fed into the incinerator in drums, liquid and bulk solid. The rotary kiln, operating at an extremely high temperature.
So the temperature is at least 850 to 1200 degrees.
Quality Alam's incineration plant has a 99.9999% destruction and removal efficiency.
Okay, the destruction removal efficiency in Quality Alam, to maintain the quality and to make sure that the emission is comply with the standard, the DRE must be 99.99. It could not be 99.98, 99.97, must be 99.99999. That is the standard that they have to follow. That's why to build an incinerator is quite hard. They have so many things to comply, because if not, they will make a incomplete combustion. Incomplete combustion will produce more toxicity and also more emissions in the atmosphere.
Slag is collected through a conveyor below the kiln and sent for disposal in the secured landfill. The ash and gases produced are passed into the secondary combustion chamber, where further incineration takes place.
So many steps for the schedule waste.
A cleaning system was built to ensure the stack emission is in compliance with authorized standards.
But Quality Alam, they have complied with all the emission standards.
The flue gas cleaning system is made up of a dry scrubber, a fabric filter, and a wet scrubber. The dry scrubber employs activated carbon and lime to clean the flue gas of harmful gases and metals such as sulfur dioxide, hypochloric acid vapor, and mercury. Ash trapped in the fabric filter is further treated at the solidification plant prior to disposal. At the wet scrubber, the remaining flue gas is subjected to sodium hydroxide spray before the clean gas goes to stack.
So it's a long way for the scheduled waste before being disposed. That's why we have to be very careful of disposal scheduled waste.
And cyanide. The physical and chemical treatment plant has 2 reactors. Inside each reactor,
Okay, some of the waste could go oxidation process. Some of other waste they have to go through the reduction process, and some of it have to go through the neutralization process. After going through this process, they also have to go for another process, which is filtrate, and also
generally, acid and alkali are neutralized, cyanide waste is oxidized, and chromate waste undergoes a reduction process. The end result of the process is called slurry, which is sent to the next treatment facility, that is, the
solidification and also stabilization method.
Slurry, which is passed into the filter press to remove any liquid or moisture. The resultant filter cake is also sent to the solidification plant before disposal. Wastes analyzed and determined for solidification in the TCLP test, as well as slurry from the other earlier treatment plants, arrive at the solidification plant. In the solidification process, the waste is mixed with sand, lime, and cement in a pre-prepared formula to prevent the heavy metal content from leaching. The end product of this process is then brought to the secured landfill for disposal. The secured landfill is the final destination of all wastes sent to the waste management center. Wastes that pass the landfill acceptance criteria are sent straight for this.
So you just imagine there's a lot of jumbo bag and also drum waiting to be disposed. And also if you see that after the treatment, combustion, all the slag and ash should be treated, and then they have to went through the solidification and stabilization method. It's like making a cement, because they would like to encapsulate whatever left or whatever pollutants left in the waste. So it's like they are making matrix before going to the secure landfill. Just in case there's a leakage or leachate, it is all in the matrix. That's why they did another test, which is TCLP again before sending it to the secure landfill. So you just imagine these are all the steps for the scheduled waste. If people just do an illegal dumping, it doesn't make any sense that the contamination is going to spread throughout like rivers, lakes, water, soil, air and whatnot, because even if we send it for disposal method, the steps are too long, too many steps just to handle your scheduled waste.
Secured landfill without treatment.
That's why they have to pay for 1 kg is around maybe how many thousand. That's why normally company want to actually reduce their cost. Okay, this is how this is how they build a secure landfill for scheduled waste. Okay, must have liners.
Above this layer is a 2 millimeter thick layer of high-density polyethylene geomembrane, followed by an uppermost layer of geotextile.
This is all liners. They have to place many layers of liners to make sure the leachate won't go through the groundwater. And also they have the leachate collection system, so that whatever waste go through or leakage go through, they could trap it here. Okay?
As a measure to conserve precious natural resources, the recycled water is channeled into other plants. Constant monitoring of conditions in the landfill is also carried out. As an operator of a major environmental protection infrastructure, Quality Alam has implemented from day one a comprehensive environmental monitoring program.
By the end of the day, they have to take samples around Quality Alam to make sure there's no leakage of the scheduled waste.
Quality Alam's service in scheduled waste management plays an important role in the preservation of the environment in Malaysia. With the existence of such comprehensive and committed waste treatment facilities and disposal procedures, a cleaner environment for our future generations is greatly assured. Quality Alam, as its name suggests, provides the green.
So is it fair for the waste generator to pay waste management center to dispose their waste in a very high value or amount?
Yes.
There's so many procedures that they have to follow. Okay, waste management center, I recap back. Waste management center, they have to control all the waste from Semenanjung and also Sabah Sarawak. They also appointed other waste management center also because Quality Alam, they could not cater for all. Okay, and then all the drivers will be well trained, and also they have their own route, and also they have their own rules and regulations that they have to follow. Make sure the play card is always there at the front, at the back, left and right. After the waste comes in, they are going to weigh the amount of the waste and they have to pay for every single kg of the waste by knowing the types and whatnot. And also, every time waste coming in, they are going to have a waiting area. The waiting area, they are going to have take some samples, put it in a container and label it properly, and then bring it to the lab, and they have to comply with the waste. What is the name of the guidelines? Waste guidelines for the incinerator or for the landfill. So if they comply, they can go straight away. If not, they have to go through certain process. Either they have to burn it and whatnot, but now the slag and the ash also have to go for another treatment. For another treatment, which is maybe oxidation, maybe neutralization, and maybe reduction process. After that, they also have to filter it and also go through the solidification stabilization method, which I mentioned earlier. They have to make a matrix out of the waste that, or the slag or the ash that they produce from the incinerator, just to make sure if there is any potential leakage of the waste from the slag and from the ash, they want to encapsulate it in a matrix. And they also did another toxicity characteristic leaching procedure test just to make sure is it comply with the standard or not. Okay, and then all the jumbo bag, all the drums, finally they are going to dispose it in a secure landfill. Normally secure landfill design, they are going to have a lot of liners, and also they have the leachate collection system, because any leakage from the waste that they put in, it's going to be collected here and also directed to the water treatment plant, so that they could treat the leachate from the scheduled waste. And also for the monitoring requirement, Quality Alam have to measure the air emission, the water quality around Quality Alam, because they have secure landfill. They are afraid that the secure landfill also leach some heavy metals from the scheduled waste towards the environment. So they always have to monitor from time to time. Okay. Okay. If I want to summarize it back, waste generator go to the waste management center. It's either it go to the incineration plant, or physical chemical treatment plant, or innocuous waste. Innocuous waste is the one that could direct towards secure landfill. If for incineration plant, they have to burn it first. Ash goes to solidification stabilization plant. Slag goes direct to secure landfill. For the waste that is in the 3B category, they have to go through the physical chemical treatment, which is reduction, oxidation or neutralization, and then they have to go through solidification, stabilization, then only to secure landfill. So you can see that there are so many steps that they want to reduce the impact, reduce the contamination, reduce it, and last, through solidification stabilization plant, make a matrix out of it, then only goes to secure landfill. Because they believe that through these steps, it could minimize the amount of contamination or the scheduled waste leaching towards the environment. Okay. So the secure landfill design is also quite, I think, stringent compared to normal landfill or sanitary landfill. Okay, this is the model they have in Quality Alam to show the secure landfill. So we can see that all the drums are like they arrange all the drums and boxes and also jumbo bag. Anyone has gone to Kuching or Kuching Integrated Waste Management Park before? No. Okay, this is one of the ideal waste management park or integrated waste management park. Why? Because they have sanitary landfill. Sanitary landfill is for solid waste. Okay. Secure landfill is for scheduled waste. Leachate treatment for both sanitary landfill and secure landfill. Scheduled waste incineration is normally for scheduled waste. So all the facilities that we need is in one place. This is very ideal for waste management park, so that people could go to one place to dispose their waste. So maybe they need the sanitary landfill or secure landfill, leachate treatment, treat for both, and also they have incineration as well. Because now in Semenanjung we have different. Quality Alam is here, sanitary landfill is there and whatnot. But in Kuching, they have all in one place. I think it is easy for them to like monitor and also to arrange or maybe to like set the barrier and whatnot, because it's all in one place. So it is like really in a controlled environment. Okay, this is the model at Quality Alam. You can see that normally they put like many liners, clay compact, geotextile, geonet, and a few others. Normally the liners are very expensive. The durability of the liners is like 10 years or more. Why we use liners and normally from the geonet, geotextile and whatnot? Because we could install it only once in a lifetime. So we have to do it right in the first place, because no one is going to like excavate again the soil just to replace the liner. So that's why if it is full and also the lifespan of the landfill is already full, we have to stop coming in the scheduled waste, because we have to close it and keep it well, because the liners could not stand it anymore. It's the limit of the lifespan of the geotextile and geonet of the liners as well. That's why normally when they design the secure landfill, they have a lot of design in terms of the assessment, site location, design of landfill, construction of landfill, operation and whatnot. So every single requirements of the secure landfill design, they have the purpose. So once you calculate the number of waste coming in and also the lifespan of the landfill and also the durability or lifespan of the liners, because we only have one time installation. There's no one is going to excavate again and take out the liners and replace it with something else. That's why we have to do it correct. So must be more than 2 liners. There are leachate collection and also removal system. There's a slope and whatnot. Okay, normally if there's a waste, at the bottom part have liners. When you want to cover it up, also you have to have liners. And last but not least is the vegetation soil and top layer. But could we use the closed landfill to other purposes? No. If we use it, the Love Canal disaster might occur or happen again. Okay? So we have to learn from the lesson. Liners, obviously, even though we do so many steps, we burn it, we treat it, we encapsulate it using solidification and stabilization method, but somehow maybe there's a crack and the leachate will also percolate through from the scheduled waste. towards in the secure landfill. So liner is it's like an umbrella upside down. Whatever that percolate through, they are going to it's like a wall that prevent from the leachate to go towards the groundwater. That's why they have so many liners. And also they have primary and also secondary. So that if it pass through first liners of first collection system, the second layer of collection system is going to collect the leachate. So they have the double barrier. Okay, in 2015, the secure landfill in Kuala Alam is almost full, the maximum capacity. So as an engineer or someone that wants to maybe contribute towards the industry, you also have to think outside the box on how to, because I mentioned earlier, we have scarcity of land, right? We do not have enough land to build another incinerator, secure landfill, because we always want to build university, houses, schools and whatnot. So what they do is that they make a vertical secure landfill instead of horizontal. So the engineer think outside the box on how to expand the lifespan, not by extending the area but vertically. Okay, I'm going to show you how they design the vertical secure landfill in Kuala Alam, because the lifespan is at the limit, but we have so many schedules coming in, so they have to do something about it. So when you become an engineer or someone competent at a company, you also have to think outside the box. Lagi 30 minit. Kan? I think engineer these days have to think outside the box to solve a problem. You could not stick with the usual design and just execute it. It's like a building, a high-rise building, so they maybe apply the same concept towards secure landfill. That is a liners, high strength of geotextile, thick sand, and also compacted rock. We also have to calculate for phase 1, the lifespan, how many tons can put in. It's not easy, but with proper design, it could be implemented. So every phase have their own lifespan. So it will last like 31 years. I think it's a very good initiative by Quality Alam, and we should applaud the engineer that designed the vertical secure landfill, because I think maybe in the future most of the sanitary landfill and secure landfill have to go by this design, because we do not have enough area to build another waste or landfill. But remember, population increase, number of waste increase, but what about the landfill? We do not have enough area for the landfill.
We have issues on scarcity land. So do you think that Malaysia will adopt like Singaporean country that they use incineration method?
I think in the future, yes, maybe. But okay, for example, in Japan, they go for incinerator compared to landfill. There's no landfill anymore in Japan. But the incinerator that they have do not have enough waste to be burned, because Japan people are so good at recycling. So they have a very limited waste to run the incinerator. They do not have enough waste to run the incinerator because they are so efficient in recycling. In the future, I think maybe incinerator is the way to go, but I think we have to increase the technology in terms of the emission and other parts, because landfill in a way it is the most economical way, but the leachate we could not like predict and also control once we put the waste inside. But incinerator we always could monitor where it goes and whatnot, and also we could reduce tremendously the amount of waste that goes to the landfill. So I think the way to go is, but we have to remember, we have to like really practice like Japan, maybe practice cradle to cradle. We have to like highlight all this like recycle, upcycle, reuse, and last but not least, then dispose, even though by using incinerator. We have to like change our behavior as well, so that it is suitable for Malaysia to use ni. But one incinerator will cost like millions. The cost is quite high, and the return of investment like 10 to 20 years. Then only they get back the amount that they invest to build incinerator. That's why for the time being, Malaysia still go with landfill.
I think there is an idea for WTE.
Yes.
But they still contemplating to.
But Selangor, they push forward, even though like the technology is not really established, but because of the, I'm not sure, the scarcity of land or maybe other issues, Selangor push forward. They are building like maybe 8 to 12 WTE. Now, currently, they are maybe running 1 or 2, but they're planning to build more, the WTE, because they want to like benefit from the waste itself towards energy. But somehow, currently, I think they have not established yet, but they are moving towards that. The WTE is also one of the way to go in the future. Okay? Not Quality Alam, by what is the name? Worldwide. By worldwide. Okay, they are also looking for workers. They are trying to search for staff that has a background in waste. So if your thesis is on waste, if you want to apply for WTE, quality alam, the whatnot, normally you're going to have a special place lah in the heart, because your thesis is all about waste. At least you have a familiar with the waste industry and how they manage the waste. Okay, so you have to grab the opportunity, because WTE is like expanding. Now they are like starting to establish one or two. Once it could run well, I think they will go all out. Okay.
But is there any successful story from other countries?
Other countries, yes. Yes. Because, for example, other countries, even in China, German and whatnot, for example, in China, they could like separate this certain of types of waste just to get this certain energy. They managed to do that. But in our country, we could not separate the waste well. That's why we always end up with commingled waste. It is very hard to like at the site, at that point, you want to like separate the waste accordingly. It should be start from separation at source. Separation at source. So in, I think in German, if I'm not mistaken, they have waste that they convert into energy, and the energy could be used by the whole city during winter for the heater. So they are to that extent, because they could separate the facilities well according to what type of waste. Because the separation is quite efficient compared to me. Just like Japan, they do not have enough waste to be burned. You just imagine how good are they at recycling up till there's no waste to burn. They have like 2 big incinerators, for example. The second incinerator never started, because the first also have issues of having enough waste to be burned. So we have to maybe our behavior, I think we have to change our behavior towards on how to separate waste well, differentiate between scheduled and also solid waste. Now we are just dumping everything in one bin. We do not even realize that is a scheduled waste or solid waste. So that is one of the problem in our in Malaysia. And also I think Malaysia, they do not, maybe there's no manpower, they do not enforce enough. Separation at source, I think starting back in like 2000 something, but up till now, have any one of you being fined for not separation waste from the source? No one, right? No one. So they like launch it, but they do not follow through or enforce. So that we as a community, as long as we do not being fined, I think we do not practice that. Unless you are really love the planet and you are really aware of the environment. So starting from this training course onwards, I would like to all of you to at least separate properly waste from source, and also make sure differentiate between scheduled waste and also solid waste. Okay. Okay, for the some of the company, okay, I would like all of you, once you like working in a company, you could be the one that think outside the box. You have to become the person that come up with solution and maybe provide more alternative to the company. Okay, so previously, most of the environmental sound management of scheduled waste with 4R approaches actually has led to better management and effective usage of material in certain companies. So they improve the cradle-to-cradle concept, apply and support the circular economy, and also behavioral changes among consumers. I think if we have a clear aim, so our behavior will change towards that. If we do not have the clear aim, so actually we do not know what to do. That's why we do not want to separate and whatnot. Okay, some of the global leaders in hazardous waste recycling, for example, Veolia in France, it is one of the world's largest environmental services group, treats, recycles and recover hazardous waste across 40 plus countries, converting residual waste into recovered materials and energy as part of the circular economy. I think overseas they have certain facilities or certain landfill or certain incinerator for certain type of waste, because they aiming of the production from the waste itself. Okay, Clean Harbors in Canada, the North America's largest waste disposal company and largest re-refiner of used oil. They operate 100 waste facilities, incinerator and whatnot across 900 services locations. Umicore in Belgium, it is a global leader in circular materials technology. They recover the e-waste and industrial residues across 99 countries with a very high metal recovery rates from complex waste streams. Actually, if you know or you create an alternative, it's going to profit the company. It's just a matter of how you do it. One of the example is the We Cycle. We Recycle organize, appropriate and removal of CFC that normally we use in our aircon. So in 2016, 80% of discarded e-waste was recycled to useful materials in the Netherlands and contributed to 17% of energy recovery from the We Cycle company. Another example is Fielding Environmental Company in Canada. They are specializing in solvents, glycols and refrigerants. They recycle waste ethylene and waste propylene glycol into new materials. So basically the company recover all the positive qualities and the waste they dispose it. Okay, have you heard about extended producer responsibility before this? Have you heard about extended producer responsibility? Extended producer responsibility is all about EPR. Now in Malaysia, we are practicing voluntarily EPR. For example, Coca-Cola, they produce water bottles. In the end, they have to collect back their water bottles. So the producer is responsible to collect back their waste that they are producing. So now it's voluntarily, but in the future, they want to make a policy towards mandatory. Okay, so in Africa, even in African countries, they already practice the extended producer responsibility. So Malaysia is quite way back lah compared to this company. To the second in e-waste management especially. Okay, for example, you buy a television, for example, from Harvey Norman, and then Harvey Norman charge you the price of the television, for example, 5,000, but Harvey Norman charge you 6,000. Once it is broken, you could call Harvey Norman to take back the television, because they could like extract everything that could be used to recycle, because that is their product. They know what could be used, what could be recycled. The rest of it, they throw it away. But if some other companies collect it, obviously they are going to dispose it as e-waste. So the company that produced that product, they have to collect back the product, so that they could utilize whatever that they could save, and then the rest they throw it away. Okay. I think if we want to support the circular economy, one of the best thing is for you guys, when you once you are working in a company, I'm thinking about you have to come up with alternative solution for all the waste. One of the 4 guidelines of fundamental aspect, if you want to recycle waste, is that these 4. For number 1, technological behavior during the manufacturing process. Number 2, the technical performance of the end product, because you are making new product, right? So what about the performance of the new product? Number 3 is the impact of the human health and environment. You are trying to use scheduled waste to become another product. Is it safe towards the human and also environmental? If it is not safe, it's the same when you dispose it. So if you want to come up with another product, you must consider the impact of human health and environment and also economic sustainability. Your alternative method, is it going to profit the company or is going to making a loss towards the company? Okay, so these 4 fundamental aspects is very important if you would like to recycle, reuse, recover and upcycle waste from any industries, especially schedule waste. So for example, for example, you use a sludge into fight clay brick, for example, to build a building material, for example. Okay, during the technological behavior, during the manufacturing process, normally they just use a clay, but now you put in waste. So is the behavior the same during the making process or the manufacturing process? Of course, it will be differ. But how differ? How many percentage that you could chip in? What is the optimum percentage of the waste that could be used or utilized or recycled in the new product? Okay. The second one is the technical performance of the finished brick. So I have a conventional fight clay brick. This is the fight clay brick with waste in it, 5% for example. Is the technical performance of the physical mechanical properties are the same strength, the same water absorption capability, or is it not at par at all? The strength of the conventional one is, for example, 30 MPa, but the one that I made with waste is like 10 MPa. So it's not at par at all. So could this product be marketed or not? So the end product is very important. Number 3, we are talking about schedule waste. Obviously, impact on human health and environment is the most important thing. Of course, you want to come up with alternative, you want to make profit, you do not want to dispose it towards the quality alam, but is it safe to come up with a product, for example, brick with waste, but is it safe on the leachability, on the emissions and whatnot? The last one is the economic sustainability. There's always pro and cons if you want to change the manufacturing process. But is it going to be benefit to the company or maybe it's a loss to the company? But we always have to look at the big picture and also the long run of it. Do not settle for less. Okay, I just want to maybe discuss a little bit on the recycle waste in building materials. Most of the schedule waste, normally from way back, they have alternative disposal method by disposing it into fired clay brick, because they also needs to be fired during the manufacturing process, just like incinerator. So they have all the benefits from the incinerator. The same goes with the fired clay brick. And also the advantages is that by using or by disposing your schedule waste into building materials or fired clay brick is actually an alternative disposal method. It is the most common masonry unit. It is flexible. Clay normally flexible. So when you put in waste, it doesn't differ that much. Require very little maintenance, saving the raw materials. Instead of buying clay to make bricks, you are using waste. High temperature, same like incinerator. So it's going to stabilize, volatilize, and also change from toxic to not toxic, and wide tolerance of products. And most of the properties of the fired clay brick incorporated with waste normally have a good strength, fire resistance, durability, beauty, and others. So it is one of the quite suitable way. There's a lot of case studies doing that. And also brick, fired clay brick is one of the common masonry unit that people are using way back from like maybe for centuries up till now. Okay, if we look at the overview of different sludge, schedule waste 204 for example, there's a lot of sludge ash, industrial sludge, sewage sludge and whatnot has been recycled previously up till now. It's just that you have to come up with the good secret recipe so that your end product will be the best one, or maybe at least compatible with whatever in the commercial market. Okay, so normally they have a very good advantages: lighter, higher strength, lower water absorption. This is what the industry needs. By using alternative or waste, you reduce the cost of it, but at the same time it comes out with the end product with a lot of advantages. But you have to be very careful on the leaching. The heavy metals is always a concern, because the waste that we are talking about is schedule waste, and all these waste normally they have all these heavy metals inside. So you must make sure the third fundamental aspect just now, impact to human health and also the environment. So you must make sure that your fired clay brick with waste must comply with all the standards of the heavy metals as well. Okay. So different case studies with different companies. For example, palm oil mill waste, mosaic sludge, sewage sludge, gypsum waste, electroplating sludge, and also petroleum sludge. These are all the companies that have tried an alternative way to recycle their waste into building materials. Okay, one of it is mosaic sludge brick, which is schedule waste 204. So this mosaic sludge, normally we use mosaic sludge for what kind of production? These tiles. Okay. Normally, previously, tiles is like white or very basic color. But nowadays, the tile is variety design and also colors. So they like injecting colors and whatnot. So all those inks will produce sludge with typical schedule waste, which is 204. Okay. So what we do with this company, it is a mosaic sludge, is that they submit the sample to the university and they need the characterization of the waste. Remember I said just now, we have to know the characteristics of the waste in order to manipulate the benefit of it. So we have to know the characteristic first. And then we get all the formula and also the results of the chemical composition and also heavy metals concentration. So what we could do about it? Is it a good formula? Is it a good chemical composition? Could we utilize it for brick making and whatnot, for example? And then for the heavy metals also, we determine chromium, copper, zinc is quite high compared to the from the waste itself. Okay, so these are two things that we need to tackle. So we try to make it into a brick and then test all the physical mechanical properties, the four fundamentals just now on the technical behavior, physical mechanical properties, the impact towards the environment. So towards the end, the conventional brick compared with the mosaic sludge brick, we can see that 30% is the highest percentages that we could include in the brick making procedure, because we would like to have a good strength and also we would like to have a good density, initial rate of suction, and everything should be in the range. But here it improved a lot, 30% lighter, 40% improve, 25% improve, and also shrinkage 87.5% improve. So if you know the characteristics of the waste and you could manipulate and also make a good formula from the waste, you could come up with a better product out there from the waste itself. Okay, but remember, we do not end at physical mechanical properties, but we also have to do the leaching test, the toxicity characteristic leaching procedure in the disposal of waste. 2 times they did it for the schedule waste. So we can see a lot of reduction for the schedule waste once we encapsulate and fire it in the fired clay brick. Okay. So this is a collaboration between Mosaic Malaysia Berhad, SW Corp, and also Hub Sangland University Industry Partnership. They save around 48k in terms of firing and energy cost, raw material 11k, and cost saving is 708k per year. If they really know how to manipulate the waste that they produce, they're going to save a lot and also making profit out of it. That is what I want all of you to do once you work in a certain company. Think outside the box. How to solve a solution. We also have a IP, intellectual property, and also publication with the Mosaic Sludge Berhad, and also these are all the results from the studies. Okay. Another example is that sewage sludge brick from Indah Water Consortium. Okay, sewage sludge brick is whatever you flush in the toilet, it become a sludge. So those sludge we utilize it in a brick making. So every single waste have their own advantages. Okay, Okay, this sewage sludge, is it a lot or not? It's a lot, right? Every single one of us are using a toilet. Whatever we flush is going to end up as a sludge. So the number of population increase, the sewage sludge increase. So IWK, Indah Water Consortium, they do not know what to do about it. There's a lot of sludge, they have to dispose it, so please do something about it. So they also try to incorporate into fired clay bricks. But in the end, this is collaboration between Indah Water. At the end, only modest amount of percentages could be utilised because it's going to affect the physical and mechanical properties of it. Not a very high strength, not a good water absorption and whatnot. So different ways will have different benefit. Okay. Okay, another example is industrial gypsum waste brick, schedule waste 206. They try to incorporate into fired clay brick, but this study we go extra. We measure the life cycle assessment. We want to know the hotspot of the carbon emission or also the rate area of the process. We know that cradle to gate, for example. So from the starting point to the gate, what is the step and what is the most contributing factors towards the environmental impact. So this company would like us to do life cycle assessment of the process in the factory or the company itself. So towards the end point, the percentages that could be included is around 10% only because it also affects the physical mechanical properties. Okay, another example, electroplating sludge. We know that this is one of the main source of schedule waste. This is also very modest amount could be incorporated because the heavy metals is quite high. So the number of percentages that could be put in only 4%. That's why I mentioned different ways have different benefit and also different advantages. It's how you manipulate by knowing the characteristics of the waste. And also we also did the indoor air quality required by the company because they mentioned that, for example, we recycle waste into building material and then we build a building like this. Normally as a worker, we are going to spend 8 to 5 in a building. So what is the emission coming out from the wall that produced from the waste? So most of it is comply with the indoor air quality. Okay, so different studies as I mentioned, but the number of percentages could be put in is very modest, only 4%, because the heavy metals is quite high. Okay, other cases like schedule waste 203, 501, and also schedule waste 406 in self-compaction concrete. So there's a lot of alternative. It's just that you have to think outside the box. You have to manipulate the characteristics of the waste. Then you will get the benefits from the waste itself. Okay. So we end up the module 4. So the activity for module 4, maybe I give you some time, 5 minutes, using any examples of schedule waste from industries that you favor and discuss the possible recycling or resource recovery accordingly. If you have like certain waste that you have in mind, for example, and you would like it to be alternatively disposed, not through quality alam, but you want to support this circular economy, cradle to cradle, you want to practice this one. Recycle, upcycle, reuse and recover. Please think of a waste. You as a competent person in a company, I put my trust in you. So please come up with an alternative way to dispose this schedule waste, but I do not want it to be disposed in quality alam. So I give you like 5 to 10 minutes to think about it, and then I'll come back to any volunteers. Welcome to present first. Or you already have something in mind? Any volunteer? if you could come up with an alternative disposal method for my waste, I'm going to hire you as my competent person in the company. I should include that in my interview session. When we want to hire someone, you should come up with an alternative way on how to dispose my scheduled waste so that I could hire you to execute the plan in my company. Anyone? Intan, okay?
So, just that as you know, I'm doing my lab, and one of thing that I think could do the recycling is by recycle or incorporate the alum sludge.
Alum sludge. Alum sludge from
water treatment plant.
Water treatment plant, okay.
Yeah.
That is good. Water treatment plant also a lot.
Yeah.
Every day the water treatment plant is going to like process the sludge because they want to contribute maybe to the consumers. So it's a lot. So what you want to do about it?
I would like to incorporate into the brick.
Brick, okay.
As what you gave example before. There's other sludge that could be used into the brick, and I think I would like to try the alum sludge.
Okay. But you are copying my idea. It's okay, thank you, Intan. Okay, anyone else? Every single one of you has to come up with one schedule waste that you would like to recycle, and into what kind of product?
How about tea bottle?
Tea bottle.
So to use this bottle, we need to wash it, and so also can we use the sludge from the washing bottle itself? Maybe we can replace the cement into a concrete.
Okay.
%.
What do you think the best percentage for those kind of wastewater from the PET bottle washing could be incorporated into concrete mixing?
If only we use just sludge, I think maybe 5%. 5%. But maybe we can add some SCM into the concrete to bind the sludge.
Yes. Okay, that's a good idea, Farisha. Thank you. Fatin?
I have visited one palm oil manufacturing, and they try to treat their waste by gas, or sometimes they make it a compost
to make a fertilizer out of it. Okay, that's a good solution as well. Thank you, Fatin. What about Izzati? Familiar with me, okay, because Izzati have different background, okay.
So I think like maybe like the new things is like the oil, use oil that they use maybe from the used oil they change to the soap or some to replace the original ingredients. I think that's
okay. The used cooking oil now Petronas is making like promotion and also collection because they would like to exchange it to become fuel, to process it to become fuel for other purposes. So that is also one of the, I think most of the company need a worker that could think outside the box and come up with a alternative solution because we are moving towards circular economy. So we have to support that atmosphere or ecosystem. Okay, thank you everyone. So the review of module 4 learning outcomes, you have learned about the treatment and disposal options for scheduled waste. There are the key designs. What are the 4 fundamental designs? There are 4 fundamental designs, right? If you want to recycle or maybe use scheduled waste into different types of or making another product. And how feasible is recycling scheduled waste sludge into fight clay bricks? I think we have seen many cases, mostly successful, but different percentages depends on what type of waste that you use. Okay, how do waste incorporation levels affect the physical and mechanical properties? Also, I mentioned that it's all about secret formula, how you want to mixture it and what kind of waste that you are using or utilizing. So the number 2 is the key design elements of the secure landfill line and leachate. I think all of you know that secure landfill is much stringent compared to the sanitary landfill. Okay, summary. Recap back, we have 4 modules: introduction to schedule waste and characteristics. We have learned about schedules 1 to 5 and all the characteristics. Module 2 is about environmental and public health impact, the Love Canal cases and whatnot. And we know that it is very severe, the impact towards human health and the environment. Module 3 is all about compliance and operational management if you are the competent person. And Module 4 is about the treatment, recovery, alternative disposal method and also the right disposal method of the waste itself. Okay, so the learning points that we mentioned at the early stage of the training, now you are able to, okay, classify schedule waste into categories, schedule 1 to 5 and also the hazardous characteristic. What is the characteristic? The short form of it? Great. Okay. Evaluate the potential environmental and public health impacts associated with schedule waste. So, make awareness, educate people. Apply schedule waste management system and operational compliance standard as prescribed by the environmental quality schedule waste regulations. Once you work with the waste industry, make sure you are comply with all the regulations. And analyze suitable treatment, recovery and final disposal. Please think outside the box so that you could come up with different solution and alternative solution to recycle or to reuse schedule waste. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you very much to everyone. I hope that all the message that the keynotes that you have to bring back is that you have to be aware and also you have to educate people on the impact of schedule waste compared to solid waste. Okay, thank you very much everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.